Hi everyone, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our weekly AMAS session. Alright, so seems like some of you have already joined us bright and early this morning. ABC. Hi, good morning, ABC. Hi Gary, yes, bright and sunny. Alright, yep. Hi Gurmeet, yes, correct. All bright and sunny today after a few days of rain. Hi Roland, good morning, good morning. Hi Manford, good morning to you. Hi Hokit, morning. Hi John, good morning, good morning. Hi everyone, good morning, good morning. Just to make sure that everything is working this morning. Can see my screen, can see my face, can see Z's face, can hear my voice. Probably cannot hear her voice yet. Just type a good morning in chat so we know everything is fine. Hi Alex, hi, good morning. Hi Bakwan, good morning to you. Hi Michael, good morning. All right, looks like everything is working fine. All right, so I think you would have realized that today the image only show two of us, the video only showing two of us lah. Yeah, because actually Joey is on a well-deserved holiday with his family. All right, he's over in Japan enjoying the nice cold weather while we are all here in the Singapore heat. Okay, so I mean, some of you could be tuning in from overseas as well. So I mean, if you're having a holiday right now, happy holidays to you, safe travels. All right. So today is the Singapore AMAS. All right, so today what we're gonna do is same as the usual weeks. So today is the Singapore, next week will be the US market. All right, so what we're gonna cover today, we're gonna cover the Singapore quick market outlook. All right, quick market outlook. Probably we start with the STI first. Probably maybe we can hop onto the SPX as well, the S&P 500 index. All right, so in the chat, I mean, as per usual, you can just let us know what stocks would you like for us to cover as well. And always stay with us all the way towards the end, and we will share our bonus stocks with you guys, Z and myself. Bonus stocks for today will be shared towards the end of today's AMAS session. All right, so just before we begin, let's do a little bit of introduction. All right, so for those of you who are just scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through YouTube, coming across this channel, welcome if it's your first time. All right, so actually Joey's not here with us today, but Joey is a top tier remiser in Phillip Securities, where I believe some of you are clients of Joey's as well there. All right, so Joey has been in this industry for I think more than 15 years now, helping retail traders like yourself, just to get a little bit of more insights. All right, I would say more insights into the market. We won multiple awards over the years as well. All right, so a little bit of about myself. If we haven't met, my name is Bavin. So we also have Z here with us. We have been working with Joey for over 5 years now. All right, so our specialty is actually in different areas. Specifically for myself, I am a chartered financial analyst, which means I like to look at the company-specific information versus the general economic environment at the same time. So across the years, we have expanded our services a little bit as well, assisting our portfolio manager with the managed account as well. And of course, I am one of your hosts for the weekly AMAS session, as well as for those group coaching that some of you guys have also attended as well. So I would like to just pass the time to Z for a little bit, right, to actually introduce herself. Z, please.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Hi, everyone. My name is Z, if we have not met before. So like what Bavin mentioned, I'm a big fan of charts. In terms of, a chartered market holder, right? Yeah, I'm holding a CMT, like, while Bavin hold a CFA, right? So I believe both of us very complementary to each other because, technical and fundamental, I believe it goes hand in hand, right? But nonetheless, right, regardless of that, I think both of us are very, very well versed with, Joey's 1GT Pro indicator, right? And we aim to make technical analysis simple and actionable for you with repeatable steps, right? That you can actually see with the 1GT Pro indicator as well. And that is also our go-to spotting tool for like strong trending stock without the noise lah. Right. So the thing is that Joey, for today, Bavin and myself, we don't have time to really dive deep into the 1GT framework and the strategy. Behind the the 1GT Pro indicator that Joey actually developed, right? But don't worry, because Joey actually conducts trainings and programs for his 1GT good trend, the one good trend framework and strategy. So if you guys are keen to actually find out more about the one good trend, right? What exactly is it about? What is the strategy about? You know, you want to learn more about it, feel free to actually sign up for his upcoming webinar. I think there's no more for this year, right? The next one will be on the 6th of Jan, which is on the first webinar for 2026, right? So I believe Berwin have already put the link in the chat. So if you guys are keen and want to find out more about the framework, which we don't have time to cover today, feel free to go and register for the upcoming webinar. All right. So I think later on, we will try to cover as many stocks as possible within the 1.5 to 2 hours using the 1GT Pro indicator. And hopefully by then you are able to see a bit more value of this indicator and how you can use it to help you, with your trades a little bit faster. All right. Back over to you, Berwin, to start today's session.
All right. Okay. So actually, I just received a video from Joey. I mean, he wants to, say hi to you guys from I believe it was Hokkaido or something like that. I'm not too sure where he's at, but let's just watch a quick video from him.
Hi everyone, this is Joey here, and I'm currently traveling in Japan, Hokkaido. You can see right over here, and it's freezing, right? So unfortunately, I will not be able to join you guys in our weekly MAS session, but the show must go on, right? So Berwin and Z will still be there to give you guys a quick opinion on the Singapore stocks that you guys request. Type in the chat and make sure you stay all the way to the end as well to find out their bonus stocks for today, right? So I'll see you guys when I'm back. Happy holidays, have a good one, bye.
Wow, surprisingly, he dressed like not very cold. Just one jacket, but I think Hokkaido should be quite cold, right? Okay, but never mind. I think he's enjoying his. I think he enjoys someone that if you didn't know, really enjoys the cold. So yeah, he can dress very little in the cold as well. All right, okay. So before we jump into the market update next, all right. Before we jump into the market update next, just a little disclaimer for you guys. As per usual, today's session is just for purely educational purposes only. We are not here to provide you financial advice. We're not here to tell you to buy, to sell, not to buy, not to sell. Always do your own due diligence. All right. Okay. So let's dive right in. Okay. Let's go. Let me just change my screen for a little bit right here. Stop share. Window here. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, here we have the STI, Straits Times Index, the primary index in Singapore that we are actually currently always looking at. Have it on the side as well. And what do we have here? It looks like the STI, not really much movement. I would say not really much movement over the last 2 weeks or so since the last AMA. It's just rebounded from a support, right? From that 4,450 support. So that support continues to hold, right? Previously was a resistance right there sometime in October to November, right? And then subsequently tested the 4,600 resistance. I came close to it, did not manage to break above it, and we saw a little bit of a retracement back to that 4,450 level. All right, so and then prices or buyers actually came back, push up the index again, right? Pushing the index up again towards the 4,600 and 4,600 level. And then today we're seeing a little bit of a retracement. I think a little bit of residual effect from the US market last night, pretty subdued there. I think not much action, I think, towards the end of the year, but it looks like it's holding steadily. It has been holding steadily above the 4,450 level. So as long as that 4,450 support holds, the immediate target will definitely still be 4,600. I think it's so far it's still looking good across the trends, right? The shorter term trend still pointing up, all right? Still pointing up. The longer term trends, 100 days, 200 days moving average, definitely still sloping up that red and blue line. All right, look at it right here. We also have a 1GT bullish signal. All right, so for those of you who are following along, you can actually just turn on, turn off very simply if you have the 1GT Pro or Lite indicator. Turn on, turn off. It works for index ETFs, if you're trading even some currencies, FX, or even crypto itself, as long as the asset class is trading on TradingView or is listed on TradingView as well, you will be able to use the 1GT indicator. All right, so here we go, on the 6th of November, we saw a 1GT bullish signal coming in to cancel out that 1GT bearish signal actually coming in on the 14th of October. So across this period of 2 weeks, yeah, we still saw a little bit of a consolidation, that 4,300 temporary support just holding up right there. But we see a 1GT bullish signal as prices broke above the 4450 resistance at that point of time. So the STI, I think definitely across this year, you can see that it has performed, relatively well. Let's just take a look right here. So we got the second, first, up to today is still a very solid 18 to 19% growth over a period of over 11 months. Very, very, very good growth, I think, out of the ordinary for the STI already. And it looks like the longer term trend and the shorter term trend, like I said, still aligned. So we can continue to be what we call optimistically bullish. All right, optimistically bullish. I think the environment itself is still looking a bit uncertain, but as long as we are able to maintain a range bound movement, I think the STI could scale into longer heights or further targets towards that 4730 level or 4,700 psychological level. All right, so on the 1GT Pro indicator, we have actually this additional function. All right, this additional function called the trailing support. All right, the trailing support. All right, so trailing support, in other words, some people call it the dynamic support, the moving support. But what it actually means is it just follows the prices of the asset, taking into account the natural volatility or the typical volatility of the asset to give it space to breathe. So as long as we are holding above a trailing support, that green line just trailing below prices, it is a good sign, or the uptrend can be said to be intact, or strength or momentum is still present. Not too much weakness just yet. Like you see it on here, this day here on the 14th of October, we have a 1GT bearish signal. It turns into a red line. That's what we call a trailing resistance, a moving resistance. Right? So it also gives the stock room to breathe, and when prices actually regain a little bit of momentum, regain a bit of strength or renewed strength, that 1GT bullish signal will come right in. Right? In fact, with that 1GT bullish signal, prices firmly broke above the 4500 level. Came close very, very shortly, about a 1 week time period. It actually started to test a resistance already. All right, so I think right now, STI is still looking good for those of you who are actually holding some ETFs, tracking the STI index. You can continue to just monitor at these points, set some alerts above 4,600 just to get yourself alerted towards the next leg of this uptrend. All right, so that is a very quick market overview for the STI. Just want to check with you guys, right here, do you guys want us to cover the S&P 500? Yes, although I know we are not covering the US market today, but I think we can cover the index if you guys like. So if you like for us to cover the index, just type an M in the chat. Just type an M in the chat, so we know that you can cover the S&P 500. Where I look at some of the stocks that you guys place in the chat. Wow, so many stocks. Glenn. All right, Vincent is M. All right. Okay, so some of you have posted your stocks in the chat already, but okay, no worries. Let's just very, very quickly cover the S&P 500 before we dive right into the stock that you guys requested. All right, so very, very quickly, here we go. We have the S&P 500, the market cap weighted index over in the US market. So very, very different from the STI. Just zooming back to the STI, we got a 1GT bullish signal right there. For the S&P 500, we got double bearish signals. All right, double bearish signal as prices very, very quickly tested for 6,500. A very bearish candlestick right there. Rebounded from that support level. It came close, tested it on the 13th of October. I think just 2 weeks back, we tested it again with a bearish signal present, and then a bearish candlestick. But fortunately, we are able to actually see some rebound movements prices rebounding from their 100 days moving average, coming very close to the 6,900 level. All right, so over the last week or so, it has just been pretty much been consolidating. If you guys believe you are trading the US market, you've been realizing that not much movement across the board for the US market. All right, so been some major moves in Meta and some of the other stocks, but pretty much no movement across the board. Some are saying that there could be some big moves or some additional volatility, I would say, coming in because there are some key economic data that's coming out tonight. All right, the PCE, consumer spending. These are numbers that a lot of those institutions are looking at to just get an idea of what the rate cuts or what the FOMC meeting could result in next week as well. All right, so I think right now we are still holding above 6,500. We have that 20 days moving average sloping down slightly, but now it's currently flattening out or maybe even pointing up. All right, so I think the S&P 500 definitely still looking good so far. As long as 6,500 is holding, a break above 6,900 could send the index towards the 7,000 level. All right, the 7,000 psychological level, I think that is a key level that we're watching out for. Will it happen this year? I think it's hard to say. We're left with a few weeks of trading only, but currently, if that 6,900 level is breached, I believe we will potentially see another 1 GT bullish signal coming right in. All right, so I think some of you guys are trading the S&P 500 ETFs, the VOO and the SPY. Set some alerts on those ETFs, get yourself alerted towards those key level. I think maybe one just under 6,500 just to get yourself alerted if we see further weakness or pullback once again from the 6,900 level. All right, so that is the S&P 500. Okay, so let's now very quickly, let's dive into the stocks that you guys requested. So on a typical AMAS, we try to cover about 15 to 18 stocks. I think between me and Z, myself, and then just the both of us today. So we're going to do round robin style. Z do one, I do one. See how many we can cover. But of course, because just a quick glance, there is a lot of requests in the chat as well. We'll try to cover as many of them as possible. But if you're not able to, so sorry. I mean, we can you can actually come and join us back over, I think, in the next 2 weeks or so, where we'll cover the Singapore market again. And if you're placing your chat, your stocks in the chat as well, do help us to just give a little bit of context. All right, so if, for example, if you're talking about DBS, you want to buy DBS or you have already bought DBS, some details, some entry level, what is your plan, as much information as possible, so that way we can give you the best insight or our best insight as well. All right, okay, so let's dive in to the first stock. Maybe I'll start first, then after that we will pass it on to Z as well. All right, so do help us to hit the like and share button while I look through the chat very quickly to find the first stock. All right, okay, so I think Andy, hi Andy, I really appreciate your support every week. Joining us. Here we go. You bought Bumitama. I believe Bumitama 8 P8Z. All right, P8Z down badly yesterday. Can accumulate, yes. Yeah, but I actually saw that there was a 1 GT bearish signal. 1 GT bearish signal that actually came out yesterday afternoon as well. Not too good looking. Prices closed below a key support level, close below 2 key support levels at the same day. All right, let me just change the color here. All right, the 1.45 support was broken, on the day beginning. All right, when the prices opened, it was already testing the 1.45 support level. All right, so within the day itself, we see a very bearish candlestick. Very bearish candlestick coming right in, and prices swiftly broke below the 1.30 support yesterday as well. All right, so if you guys have been following, Bumitama Agri was one of the bonus stocks that we actually covered, I think, a couple of weeks back as well. Was still looking good at that point of time, but unfortunately yesterday that key support was broken and we have a bearish signal showing up as well. Prices today, tried to retake that 1.30 resistance to turn it back into a support, but unfortunately, I think right now it looks like that 1.30 level is still currently being tested. All right, so typically if you are looking to buy, all right, and you can accumulate. Well, I think usually when we see a 1GT bearish signal, we already try to avoid lah. All right, but let's look at the trends. What is the trend actually telling us? All right, we got that 100 days, 200 days moving average still pointing up. Great, that's a good start, right? The longer term trends still in our favor, but the shorter term trend definitely seeing some weakness. All right, definitely seeing some weakness right here, pointing down already that green line. So near term weakness could be present as well, and that 20 days moving average is right around that 145 previous support, now turn resistance level as well. So I think if prices were to push back up towards the level, you could potentially see some sellers coming back in as well. So I think weakness is currently still present. I do not recommend to actually average down very, very quickly. We want to just hold on for a little bit. Maybe we want to see that 20 days moving average flatten out a little bit, prices stabilize a little bit, you know, people getting a footing on what's going on for now, because I think right now there's no announcements from the company just yet on why the sell down is happened. But pretty much Bumitama is related to or their primary business is still in the oil palm oil plantation sector, so could be some happenings right there as well. So just need to be a little bit careful for Bumitama. If you currently are holding some already, like Andy, he's actually holding on to some that he bought at 153. So I think this is when I think you could potentially think of a stop loss plan. And how do we determine a stop loss plan? We typically would like to use a trailing support and resistance. All right, so can see very similar to the STI as how it works. Prices will move up. If prices move up, that trailing support will move up with the stop. All right, so the trailing support was actually present ever since 9th of June. In fact, 1, 2, 3 bearish bullish signals, trailing support slowly moving up with the prices. And as of yesterday, can we see here right there that trailing support was at $1.31, and it was broken. All right, it was broken right there. You can see it broke below that trailing support. So the question is, do I sell immediately when the trailing support is broken? Not a hard and fast rule, but we would like to actually set our stop loss about 3 to 5 bits below that trailing support. All right, so 5 bits below that will bring us to about 1.26. It was in fact hit yesterday already. So if you are following this framework or Joey's 1GT framework a little bit, you might want to, you know, consider to reduce some exposure for Bumitama Agri first, because who's to say? I mean, your guess can be as good as mine. Nobody can tell you if prices are going to be rebounding or not, but based on the present information, we see weakness. All right, we see weakness, so we do not want to accumulate on weakness. We want to accumulate on strength. So just be a little bit careful. Andy, not too sure what is your stop loss plan, but I think dollar cost averaging down can be quite dangerous as well with nearer term weakness present. Okay, so if what happens if that $1.30 level is not recaptured, I would say we could see possible weakness towards that $1.10 level. So bringing us back to where we were in September as well, where consolidation had happened at this level. So I think right now you perhaps want to set some alerts, maybe about 132, 133 to just get yourself known that the prices have recaptured that 130 level, or alternatively another alert below the 110 level. All right, so weakness below the 110 level, you could potentially see another 1GT bearish signal as well. All right, so Bumitama Agri not looking too good as of yesterday, but I think today we see a little bit of buyers coming back in. Let's monitor throughout the rest of the day, maybe towards the start of next week, to see whether the prices are able to stabilize above 1.30 before making any moves. All right, so I think that is for Bumitama Agri. Pass the time now to Z to actually cover the next requested stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Well, I think Bumitama is definitely one of the stocks that a lot of you guys, right, that I'm looking through the comment is asking about. And I think a lot of our clients have also been reaching out to us that, hey, what happened to Bumitama lah? So I hope that, you know, Bavin give you more clarity on it. And especially so, yes, I think one of our clients also shared with us, right, that, you know, I think her Bumitama position got stopped out because she also had a stop loss plan in place. And she was actually happy about it. So I think that is also kind of like the mindset that we want, you know, and we hope that our clients and you guys can actually adopt, right? Because if you guys have a trading plan in place and if you really got stopped out, perhaps stopped out with profits, great, right? But if you stopped out with losses, no issues, right? Because you are still following your trading plan, being disciplined, and then we can still move on, you know, to the next stock, right? Because there's so many opportunities out there in the market, not just one stock only. There's not just only Bumitama. There's so many other stocks that we can look at. All right. So yeah, I think let's move on to the next one, and that would be by ABC, right? So ABC XYZ is asking about Singtel, right? Singtel has dropped yesterday and today. At what price would be good to buy some? All right. So let's take a look at Singtel, right? So right over here we can see that Singtel uptrend definitely still looks great, right? In terms of short term and in terms of long term. How do we actually see that? It is based on the three lines that we are seeing right over here. The green line, short term, and the longer term will be the red and the blue line, which is 100 days and 200 days moving average respectively, right? So the thing is that all three are aligned, and that's what ideally what we want to see when we are thinking about buying into a stock. So first step is great, ABC. So you're thinking about buying into a stock that is already in an uptrend. Great, right? So now the next thing is when we think about buying, we want to think about buying, not just anyhow buy, right? I mean, of course, like got money can buy, but we don't want to buy, you know, things like near the resistance, right? Because we know that that's where selling pressure return. We want to buy near support levels, right? So support level, where can we see potentially the support levels and where could buyers be coming back? Right, so very clearly right over here, you can see that I've drawn some lines already. And maybe these are some of the lines that perhaps ABC or some of you guys who are thinking about getting into Singtel, this is where you can also consider to set some price alerts as well, right? So $4 right over here, $4, right, I think will be one of the psychological support that you guys can take note of. This $4, previously, it was actually a resistance, right? Back before August, this was this area here, it was actually a resistance, right? July, August was testing this $4, were unable to break above. Eventually, it managed to break above it somewhere in middle of August. And since then, it has managed to stay above this $4 psychological level. And also, it was actually tested once again somewhere in October, right? We got one bearish signal, but it tested once again in October, but still managed to hold above this $4 with this candlestick, right, with a long lower shadow, which represents that buyers are there to support the prices to prevent it from falling further. Right, so $4 definitely one of the psychological support to take note of, right? And subsequently, prices, you know, managed to trade within this range from mid of August all the way to November, where after that it broke above, right? It broke above this 440, right? So this 440, right, was actually the range that prices was trading between $4 to 440, and it eventually broke above with a 1 GT bullish signal. And this is where we are currently at right now. So price currently is trading at about $4.57. Right, and it seems like prices after it break above the 440, 440 became the new higher resistance, new higher support, right? Previously was a resistance here, tested it, broke above it. So $4 support become $4.50, a new higher support level, right? So now that we know that this is the new higher support level, and when price broke above it, right, it tested this $4.80. So $4.80 is the resistance, right? So now that we have established where is the support and where is the resistance, right? Okay, then we can roughly know where can we potentially set some price alert to accumulate, right, when prices were to pull back. Especially so when we know that the short-term trend right now, is it pointing down? No, it's kind of like just going flat, right? It's going up, then now it's going flat. Longer term trend, is it still looking good? Yes, it's still looking good. Red and blue line is actually still pointing up. Right, so we want to look at support zones, right? Support zones that we can potentially accumulate on dips, right? That where would that be? That would be probably around this level, perhaps around 450 to about 440, right? This would be the zone, right? This would be a support zone that, you know, potentially buyers could actually return, right? Why? Because previously it was actually a resistance level, and this level, right, as you can see, a lot of candlesticks have been testing this level for a few times, right? And plus, we also got this very long lower shadow bullish candlestick here, which also represents and indicates that, you know, buying pressure potentially could come back, right? So ABC, I hope this zone, right, perhaps you can consider, you know, to actually set some price alert in this zone. Maybe let me just do it right now as well together with you, right? So right click, add alert, and price, right, crossing. Maybe you can set multiple alerts, maybe 450 could be one, right? You can set the other one maybe at about 4, let me just right click again, 445 could also be another one, right? You can set multiple alerts, right, within this zone. It's always not a specific point, just to reiterate, it's always a zone, right? Because we wouldn't know exactly where would buyers be coming back. It will always be an area, right? It will be an area that buyers could potentially come back. All right. And then the potential upside targets that we are looking at definitely will be towards the resistance, right? Resistance, which is what we have indicated here. And this is where we saw profit taking happening, selling pressure returning near the $4.80. So it's potentially about 9% upside targets that we are looking at, right? And if prices is actually able to break and hold above, you know, this $4.80, right? Like, so if we consolidate and it managed to break above $4.80, I think the next upside target, right, maybe we can look towards the $5 first. Why do I say $5, right? It's because $5 is a psychological level. Number one, right? $5 first. I think that's more of a conservative target lah. But if we actually do a projection range up, right, based on the range that it was trading at, right, 440 to 480, then the next upside target would be towards the $5.20 lah. But like what I mentioned, $5, I would not be surprised if, you know, prices break above 480, approach the $5, we will see some selling pressure return, because like what I've mentioned, psychological level, usually that's where people would tend to place, you know, some of their sell orders as well. Okay, so overall, I think definitely Singtel still looks pretty good and bullish at this point in time, with a 1GT bullish signal, all moving averages looking great. Uptrend is still firm. I think right now, maybe on ABC end, of those of you who are thinking about Singtel, perhaps set some price alert near the support zone, and also perhaps near the resistance zone, whereby you can actually try to formulate your trading plan. And of course, there's just two things. The last thing of always think about, you know, your stop loss plan. If prices were to break below the support at 440, what's your downside risk management plan, right? That's where, you know, potentially you might think about your stop loss plan, perhaps you know, 2 to 3 bits, or maybe even like a few percentage points, right, below the support level to manage your downside as well. Okay, I hope that helps ABC to give you something to think about and to set some price alerts along the way. Okay, so that would be a very quick one for Singtel. Back over to Bervin to cover the next stock.
All right, Ken, thanks Z. All right, okay, let's go for the next stock. Let's just see what stock do I want to cover. All right, so I think, hi Yatri, hi, good morning. Welcome back. Let me just get Thai Beverage up for you right there. Just change it. Thai Beverage. Okay, we have, oh shit, sorry, forgot to change the screen. Okay, so Thai Beverage, the code is Y92. Oh, it's been a while since I actually monitored this stock as well. Okay, so what's happening here? Bought at 4.88. 4.88. I'm not too sure you are actually referring to 0.48. Now stuck in losses. Should I book some losses to release capital? Right. That is actually a very, very good question. All right, that's a very good question, because the longer you are stuck in a non-profit making position, there is some opportunity cost that is definitely incurred. Yes, some people say that, yeah, you get some dividends along the way, but if you get some dividends but the price keep falling, then maybe it's also not too good already lah. All right, so I think right now for Thai Beverage, let me just turn off that 1GT bullish and bearish signal first. All right, so maybe in the chat, right there, can you guys help Yatri out a little bit? What does the longer term trend look like? Longer term, the blue line and the red line. Is it pointing up or pointing down? All right, so John says it's down, Gerard says it's flat, Gary says it's down, Lillian says it's down. All right, okay, so JP says it's down, RL says it's up. The longer term trend is actually pointing down. So Lillian is right. All right, it's currently pointing down. So previously, yes, I will agree with you. If you're looking at some like a time period like this right here, this whole period right here, we have the red above the blue, the green above the red above the blue. That is a good sign. All right, that's typically a good sign. The longer term trend is up. But I think currently, as of 27th of May, 27th of May, we actually see a bearish crossover. All right, a bearish crossover. And prior to that, we can actually see a major sell down or more of a big retracement coming in across a few days where prices actually tested the 0.45 support. Right, the 0.45 support right there was currently or previously tested as well. So I think right now we are very, very close. Okay, we are very, very close to the 0.45 support already. We're right back to where we were in May as well, in September as well. It looks like the longer term trend has indeed turned down. The shorter term trend, in fact, there was a period where it came close to that 50 cents level. I think buyers tried to push prices above or test that 50 cents level, but we actually see selling pressure actually come back right in, or a little bit of a profit taking coming in close to that 50 cents level. And across 1 month or so, we have actually slipped back down to the support. All right, so it doesn't mean that we are back to the support. And if we see this support being tested, it must break through, go down to 42 cents. No, we could see a prolonged downward consolidation as well. All right, so but however, with the longer term trend pointing down, shorter term trend pointing down, we tend to not want to trade against the trend. You want to trade with the trend instead. All right, so Yatri was asking, should he book some losses? Book some losses to actually release some capital. I think right now with that 45 cents level still holding, a potential for rebound towards the 50 cents level is possible. All right, it's possible. It could happen like when back then in October as well. We can see a 50 cents level being tested, and this is where potentially you may get out with a little bit of profits if in fact you have bought close to 0.48. All right, you may get out with a little bit of profits. However, if we see the weakness continue, that 45 cents level being broken, you may see prices slip below the 45 cents. All right, below the 45 cents, and that is where you may want to consider like a stop loss plan. All right, consider a stop loss plan. I know, yes, you will be extending your losses a little bit, but that gives you a chance for a rebound. All right, if it doesn't rebound, then I think you got to be firm about it. You got to follow your trading plan, release some of those capital, look for other opportunities instead. All right, so then, but nobody says you cannot buy back a Thai beverage when prices reverse or that longer term trend reverses as well. We rather go and look for a counter that can actually help you rebuild that capital in the meantime while you continue to monitor Thai beverage as well. So I think I want to just turn on that 1GT buy or sell signal very quickly. We have a 1GT bearish signal right there appearing on the 27th of November. So I think that is another sign that weakness is still present for Thai beverage. So I think right now, Yatri, this could be a potential plan for you, a sell close to the 50 cents level. You still get out with a little bit of profits, or maybe even just break even, or set some alerts below 45 cents, or set some stop limit orders below 45 cents, maybe about 2 to 3 beats below. I think that's fine to just unlock your capital, release your capital from this counter. All right, so I think that is for Thai beverage. I'll pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here would be by Jeff, right? Jeff is asking, thinking of buying Propnex. Is it time to go in or hold on? And then I also saw I also saw RLTK asking about Propnex, whether to sell. So I think there's like two sides of the coin. Maybe some of you guys are thinking about getting in. Some of you guys are thinking whether should you sell lah, because what we are seeing now is some weakness for this counter, right? So maybe I seek your help, right, from you guys. I think about 197 of you guys over here, right? So when you look at Propnex right now, right, I turn on the bullish and bearish signal already for you guys, pay cheat a bit. So maybe you guys can let me know, right? And also to help Jeff out, right? Based on this, what you guys are seeing right now, which is also what I'm seeing, right? Do you guys think that Jeff should buy into Propnex now, or just wait for a bit, like B for buy, W for wait? Let me know. Let me know what do you guys think for Propnex. Whether should you just buy now, B for buy, or should you wait? Maybe wait for a bit, monitor a bit, right? W for wait, right? To see maybe see whether prices can actually rebound back before actually getting in. Like what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat, right? Let me just take a look. What do you guys think? Wait, Ray, wait, Glenn, wait, Gerard, wait, Richard, wait. Okay, W. What Sean said, buy and hold. Chao Di. Okay, I think that's Chao Di lah. Wait, W. Wait to buy. Okay, I think there is a lot of W over here, right? So I think a lot of you guys are also thinking, or maybe agreeing that should maybe wait for a bit lah, which is what I also think, right? Maybe let's break it down, right, and see why a lot of you guys are actually saying wait, right, to also help Jeff out here. Okay, so right now for Propnex, definitely when we first think, we always look at the trend, right? So when we look at the trend, going to the basics, long-term trend, short-term trend, we know that it must always be aligned and heading in the same direction, right? So longer-term trend, red and the blue line, definitely going up, right? No issues with the longer-term trend at this point in time. But what about the short-term trend? Short-term trend, green line was actually going up, right? Then it was flattening out, going sideways, and then now it's pointing down and attempting to break below the red line. So not so good. Short-term trend, definitely we are seeing weakness. Plus, we are seeing the fact that prices has been consistently going down, right? For over since November, since middle of November, when it started to break down, then we see every single day prices have just been going lower and lower and lower, which I think that sparks the question that a lot of people might have, like, hey, the price is cheaper now, should I actually get in, right? It's definitely cheaper than a couple of months ago when it was trading at $2 over cents. But the thing is that when price is cheap, sometimes we don't really like cheap stuff, right? I mean, of course, when you go Great Singapore Sale, you buy, you go shopping, of course you want the cheaper the better, right? But sometimes when it comes to stock, we got to change our mindset a bit, because we don't really want to get into cheap stuff. There's a reason why it is cheap, right? And it is because prices, has been maybe consistently breaking below support level, which also means that there's not a lot of buying pressure or buyers coming in to support, right? And then that is why it's cheap. So that is the reason why maybe we don't want to think about buying into a stock, right, that is really cheap. We want to still look at the bigger picture and make sure that we are aligned with the trend, rather than just purely think about buying a stock just because it is cheap, right? So right now, for Propnex, we know that short-term, long-term don't align, right? And what we are also seeing in terms of the 1GT signal is that we don't just have one 1GT bearish signal, but we have two 1GT bearish signal, right? And when we see bearish signal, like what Bervin and also Joey we have also consistently been talking about and re-emphasizing in our Ask Me Any Stock session, right, is that when the 1GT bearish signal come out, it doesn't mean that the stock will crash, right? It is not like suddenly it will just go all the way back down to like $1. No. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that the stock will crash, but rather it just means that there is more weakness returning. And when you see consecutive 1GT bearish signal coming out, right, it is not so good, right? It's not so good. It just means that more selling pressure coming back already, right? So when we look at this right now as a whole, in terms of the trend, in terms of the signal, we haven't even talked about the support and resistance, right? You know that this stock maybe at this point in time, not that great, right? Not that great. So then now we talk about support and resistance, right? So very clearly when prices was trading from August all the way to November, right? This period right over here, it was actually trading in a range, right? And the support was at about $2.20. Resistance was at about $2.50. It was trading within the range, right? Sideways consolidation. 20 days moving average was actually moving sideways, right? And then what we saw is that the first 1GT bearish signal come out already, right over here, right? And 20 days moving average starts to, kind of like slope down a bit. And price eventually broke below the $2.20, triggering another 1GT bearish signal, right? So we know that the support level at 220 are already broken, right? And at that point in time when it broke the $2.20 support level, the thing is that we don't really know where is the next support level coming back. I mean, of course, there is one here at $1.40. But $1.40 to $2.20, well, the gap is very far. And the thing is that when prices actually surge, when we look back from August, right, prices actually surge all the way up, right, just within a couple of weeks. And during this period when it surged up, right over here, there isn't an area or there isn't any levels that we can clearly see buying pressure, coming back, or there's some sort of consolidation. Don't have, right? This whole period don't really have any consolidation. Prices just surge all the way up, right? So when it broke this 220, it's a bit concerning because you won't know exactly when are buying pressure coming back in. So that was why there's this $2 and this $2 level, right, actually drew a temporary support, because $2 why is a psychological level, right? And usually, like we mentioned, psychological level is where potentially buyers could come back or selling pressure could return. So this $2 level was the one that we wanted to monitor initially to see whether is it a new support level that could appear, right? That potential buying pressure could come back to support. But unfortunately, it didn't, right? This $2 also didn't hold. This psychological level also didn't hold. It continued to went even lower, right? So now the thing is that what we are seeing here is, prices went all the way up. Is there a possibility that prices could go all the way back down? Yes, I wouldn't know, right? If you were to ask me, ask Bervin, ask Joey, we don't know whether prices will go back all the way to 140, right? It could, right? But the thing is that the matter of time, right? I'm not sure when, but along the way down, the thing is, along the way down, is there a level that potentially we could see some buying pressure returning? I think that is the key thing that we want to monitor at this point in time, right? Because if there is, maybe, I don't know, maybe around this 160, right? Maybe if there could be another, buying pressure coming back, like so, and prices were to stabilize here before going back up, right? This would be the area, right, that we want to look at, right? To think about at that point in time, at the point in time when the 20 days moving average stops pointing down and starts to flatten out and even show signs of it pointing sideways, then that is potentially when we want to actually think about maybe at the point in time, if everything and there's positive confluence of factors, right, then potentially we think about, getting in or accumulate on the dips, right? And even best if we got another 1GT bullish signal coming out to give us another layer of confirmation. But at this point in time, based on what we are seeing now, not really wanting to accumulate at this point in time, because all signs actually points to the fact that this stock, it is still pretty weak, right? At this point in time, it's still pretty weak, and we want to wait for confirmations of when buying pressure return, and then 20 days moving average, the short-term weakness actually stop being so weak first, then we actually think about taking action, right? Because you could be buying here, right? And then prices go down, you could be buying here. And if prices go down some more, you could be buying here. And if it breaks this, it goes to 140, you could be buying here, right? And the thing is that when you buy all the way down, that's when, sometimes a lot of people might get stuck, right? Sitting on unrealized losses. And that's not what we want, right? So that's the reason why sometimes it is good to be a bit patient and to monitor and to set some alerts, right? And think and know what you are actually looking out for before taking further action. Okay, so I hope that helps for some of you guys who are thinking about Propnex, right? Maybe do practice a bit of patience at this point in time and take note of some of the levels that we have mentioned over here to set some price alerts to be alerted as well. Okay, so that is for Propnex. Back over to you, Bervin, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Z. Okay, so let's go next stock. I think here we go. Kenny is asking, okay, bought Samudera at about 0.85 cents. Can take some profit now? Okay, good question right there. See, 0.85. Was it? I think most likely you have been holding it for quite a while since July at least. Probably when I don't think it will be way back when in June of last year, right? I think it should be more recent, or Kenny. Yeah, so I think right now it looks what does it look like for Samudera Shipping? I was just pointing out that longer term trend first. Longer term trend, I mean, we actually see a potential reversal right there in April. Right now, definitely still seeing that reversal playing out. All right, the reversal playing out. They are 100 days above that 200 days moving average. But what it looks like to me right now, that there could be what we call lower highs actually forming for Samudera Shipping. So I'm not too sure. I mean, this is pretty much aligned with what the shorter term trend is actually showing as well. We got the prices actually, or the moving average actually moving sideways for a little bit, then coming down, then trying to recover a bit, come back down, then now coming down again, they're trying to recover a little bit. So I don't know if this is a lower high formation that is actually forming. So I think in the nearer term, we want to actually see this lower high formation broken with prices above that $1 level. Above that $1 level, I think that is a sign that this formation is broken, and we can potentially come back to test that 105 level once again. All right, so I think Kenny, I think for right now, you may want to consider to maybe set some alerts when prices come close to that $1 level, because you are sitting on some profits. You want to protect those profits, right? You want to protect those profits. You don't want to try to go broke making a profit right there. So if prices come close to that $1 level, you want to take some profits. I would say it's completely okay. Maybe don't have to take all, maybe about half or 1/3. I think is fair. It's fair enough, because you want to ride that longer term trend as well. With that 20 days moving average pointing up, if prices break above that $1, I think you are in a good spot again. You may ride the further trend up to that 105 level first. All right, so I think that immediate support still remains about that 90 cents level. All right, about that 90 cents level. That buy zone is where buyers tend to like to come in. All right, so this is a level you potentially want to watch as well. All right, not to accumulate, not to accumulate. You're just watching to see if this level holds up. What happens if this level doesn't hold up? Right? If this level doesn't hold up, you may potentially want to set a stop limit order. All right, so you'll be definitely be getting out with a lot lesser profits as compared to getting out close to $1. But at least you will not be incurring any losses from this trade. All right, so if prices do not break above this support, I think it is a good sign, and we could be entering what we call a consolidation phase like this as well. All right, if it's a consolidation phase, then I think you are pretty much quite set up already. You can actually do a little bit of range trading, trying to get out close to that resistance, and then accumulating back at the 90 cents level when that 20 days moving average is just flattening out. Signs of it flattening out, a little bit of sideways movement. I think you can potentially use that to your advantage at the same time. So I think right now for Samudera Shipping, still looking okay. Shorter term trend could be better. I think especially if that $1 level is broken, we can enter a new phase as well. All right, so I think that's a very quick one for Samudera Shipping. I'll pass the time back to Z to actually cover the next stop.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Okay, so the next one over here would be by Quiet Achiever, right? Asking about Centurion. Bought Centurion recently at $1.41. Should I hold or take flight? Appreciate your analysis on it. All right, thanks, Quiet Achiever. Let's take a look at this, right? So actually, I didn't clear my chart because this was actually one of the chart that we were discussing with our clients as well, right? In terms of their trading plan, right? And as you can see here, right, I think this client of ours, we also had an issue whereby thinking whether should cut loss or continue holding, right? But apparently, as you can see over here, right, this client, our client right over here, entry at $1.72. The target was at 190, right? But then the stop loss was actually not enforced until it was actually too late, which we assume that prices, he's actually still holding on to this stock lah. So as you can see right over here, the losses at this point in time is about 24% lah. But then whereas for your case, you mentioned that you bought at around 41 cents, right? So 41 cents, that would be around here, right? 41 cents. Okay, sorry, let me just put it in blue color. Right, so right, bought at 41 cents. So at least not that bad, right? Not that bad, as in not as jialat lah. Because the thing is that now 41 cents to where you are at that's about a 7%. Comparing to this client is about 20 over percent. By right, you should have a stop loss plan in place already lah. All right. So let me just clear this chart over here, right? So the thing is that sometimes the questions that you guys have, right, I just want to let you guys know that you are not alone, right? Because a lot of people actually going through the same thing and also experiencing the same thing and thinking about the same thing, like, hey, when the stock is going down, should I actually cut loss, right? So you're not alone. The thing is that a lot of people are experiencing the same thing, and we also get asked a lot, right? So for this situation for Centurion, right, what we are seeing now, right, in terms of the trend, okay, let me just remove this first. In terms of the trend, right, definitely we know that the trend is not that great. Why? Because 20 days moving average definitely pointing down. We don't need to doubt ourselves, it's pointing down. The red line was going up and now it is sloping down also, right? So the trend, first thing, already moving averages, right, already tell us something, right? And secondly, on top of that, when we turn on the 1GT bullish and bearish signal, we are seeing 1GT bearish signal coming out, right? On top of the, we know that the trend really not so good, right? And thirdly, what do we see is that we see price have also kind of like break below this $1.35, right? This support level right over here, right? This one about $1.35, this level, turning it to become a resistance. So also not that great, right? So we know that previously it broke this support level at 160. Now it's breaking this level at 135, around this 135. We know that the trend is going down and we got 1GT bearish signal. So that gives you an idea already, like, roughly, what are the things that you should think about, right? Especially, if the price continues to actually head lower, because we want to manage our downside, right? So when prices actually break below the 135, right, the potential downside that we are looking towards, potentially it could be towards the next support, right? The next support somewhere around this $1 psychological level, right? But perhaps somewhere at this $1.20, we could potentially see some buying pressure return. Not too sure, but we can monitor this $1.20. Why? Because previously this level was actually being tested right over here, as you guys can see, right? So $1.20 could be one of the temporary support that we can monitor, right? But of course, $1, I think $1, this psychological level, right, would be the key support lah. If it really break below this key support lah, by right, even prices before prices were to reach here, you should have already reduced your exposure lah. All right. So at this point in time, I would say for Centurion, for those of you who are thinking about getting in, maybe not yet lah, like what we mentioned, right? Trend doesn't look that great, right? We want to wait for more confirmation. But for those of you who are holding, you should already think about your stop loss plan, right? Because 𝐿𝐿𝐤𝐸, I'm not sure you bought your $1.40 the Centurion. Do you buy here at $1.40 or do you buy here at $1.40? Because it makes a difference. When you buy here somewhere in May, great, right? The entry is great around 140 because it breaks out above this $1.35, right? It's called like a breakout strategy, and then you bought, and then price went all the way up to 180, but it's a bit pitiful lah, because you didn't manage to take profits here, right? A bit sayang, right? Because price went all the way up. It could have been 30 over percent profits, but never take profits, right? So when you buy here and you buy here, it's different, because when you buy here at this point in time, you should not even be thinking about buying. Why? Because like we've mentioned earlier on, the trend is not so great, and we got bearish signals coming out with, the moving averages are actually pointing down, right? So buying here, by right, should not lah. We should not. But no problem. If you already bought in, now the question is whether should you reduce exposure or think about buying more, right? But based on what we have analyzed so far, prices have already break below this $1.35. I'm not too sure where is your stop loss plan in place. Usually we place it slightly below the support level. It could be a percentage point, sometimes it could be a few bits as well, right? Some people, they like to put like maybe 5 bits or so, right? And this is where we can actually set our stop loss slightly below the support level. But if you want to give it a bit more allowance, or somewhere below the $1.20, some people could do that as well, but just take note that this is a very huge, drop down about 13 over percent, and it also really depends on whether you do your position sizing properly as well. Okay, so 𝐿𝐤𝐸, I hope that gives you something to think about. But for Centurion right now, doesn't look that great. I think it's something to actually monitor. Don't have to rush in, especially those of you who are thinking about buying, because I think this stock has been good, right? It has been good since 2024, but just that now it seems like there's some pullback. There's some pullback for this particular counter at this point in time. Okay, so that would be for Centurion. I hope that helps. Passing the time back over to Bervin to cover the next stock.
All right. Okay. Let's see who we got here. Okay. Let's go. Lease. Please cover SIA Engineering. Bought 3.61 recently to average, but price still dropping. I think Alex is also asking. SIA Engineering bought at 3.65. Hold or sell? I guess Lease and Alex are pretty much in the same position as of now. Both of them are holding on to SIA Engineering. Both of them most probably bought it very, very recently. All right, most probably recently, and then we actually see prices actually slipping down a little. We actually have that $3.60 support broken through last week. All right, broken through last week. Currently, we still have 1 GT bullish signals in play. Right, 1, 2, 3. Most recent is on the 6th of November. But prices are experiencing a little bit of weakness with that 20 days moving average pointing down already. All right, buyers not able to capture the 360 level once again after breaking down 1, 2, 3 days, tried to break above it, not able to, and then we saw continued selling. All right, we see continued selling, but right now we don't see a 1 GT bearish signal just yet. No red 1 GT signal right there, but could it be appearing soon? All right, could it be appearing soon? I think that is the question. So we can just very quickly turn on that trailing support and resistance right there. You can see that trailing resistance is right around the $3.47 as of right now. So definitely, if this trailing support is broken, not too good already. So Liz and Alex, I'm not too sure what is your plan. Could your plan be to get out? All right, because from, let's say, 3.65, 3 bits below right there, the losses is actually not too wide. All right, it's not too wide if you actually get out if that trailing support is broken. All right, just wait for confirmation that buyers are coming back before entering the counter again. Short-term weakness is definitely present. All right, so right now you are still presented with an opportunity to frame your trading plan. So if your trading plan hasn't been framed yet, I think right now is the time to do so. Okay, so if that trailing support is broken, where could that next support level be? I think the next support level could be just maybe between $3.30 to $3.35. This is where you can potentially see some buyers coming back in. All right, so but is it confirmed that when we reach $3.30, buyers must come in? No, but what I'm just referring to is actually just where prices have rebounded from previously. All right, that 330 level as after that 360 level wasn't able to be broken as well. So I think right now have a alert, not just a typical price alert. I think in this case you want to set up an alert, but for the 1GT Pro indicator. All right, just use a buy or sell alert will do. All right, once per bar, and then just create. All right, so if we receive any 1GT bearish signal coming in, then you want to come into the chart, maybe set up your stop losses as well already, because by then maybe you'll see that 20 days moving average already starting to point out a little bit more steeply. Right, nobody is to say that once prices hit back down towards that $3.30 level, is once the 20 days moving average start to flatten out, point out a little bit, hey, that is a potential re-entry for you to ride it back up firstly towards that 360 level. All right, the 360 level is broken once again. I think you can see another 1GT bullish signal coming right in. You may potentially see the upside back towards $3.80. All right, so I mean, sometimes it can happen. I would say there's nothing wrong with both your entries as well. Both buying one at 361 and 365. Great. You probably saw that the 20 days moving average is pointing up, 100 days moving average pointing up, 200 days moving average pointing up. Probably some bullish candlesticks maybe earlier on the 6th of November as well coming right in. I think that are all good signs of a good entry, but it doesn't mean you have a good entry. The trade must pan out in a profit. All right, so we always try to protect the downside. All right, let the upside take care of itself. As prices move higher, we just move our stop limit orders up to protect the profits. But we want to just take care of that downside just in case weakness shows up, because we never know when is weakness going to show up. You don't want to be stuck holding onto a position with too much unrealized losses and you find it very, very difficult to get out. All right, okay, so I think that is for SIA Engineering. Good one to monitor. I don't think you should be buying at this point because the 20 days moving average is already starting to point out, although we are very close to that trailing support. Right, so I think right now it's just a set up alert and set up stop loss situation, and hopefully we can see a rebound above that 360 level. All right, so I'll pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bavin. Okay, so the next stock over here will be by Bunny, right? Bunny is actually asking about Hong Kong land, right? Planning to buy, can advise what price to go in. Currently at 660, right? Maybe just before we analyze Hong Kong land, right? I think currently we have about 217 of you guys from both Facebook and also YouTube, right? So just wanted to check with you guys, how many of you guys, right, are already a client under Joey in Phillip Security? Because the reason why I asked, right, is that perhaps you guys have already also received the trading, this note, right? This trading idea note, right, by Joey. I think a few days ago, yes, even yesterday there's one about Hong Kong land, right? And also last week, I also think that there's something about Hong Kong land that Joey actually shared with you guys. How many of you guys are already a client? Maybe you can let me know. Like, you guys already know what Joey is actually talking about in the trading note that he shared. Let me know how many of you guys here are already a client. If you are a client, maybe just type C, right? Just type C to let me know that you're already a client under Joey in Phillip Security, and you guys have been receiving, right, the Hong Kong land trading ideas. I hope you guys have been receiving, like, if you have a client. But if you are not, right, let us know. Okay, let us know, because by right, if you are a client, you should already be receiving the trading idea. Okay, let's see. Okay, Sean, Jeff, Celia, Gerard, Alex, Victor, 𝐀𝐢𝐤𝐞𝐿, Emily, a lot of you guys here, right? A lot of you guys here are already a client. Thank you so much for being here first thing in the morning, right? And I believe you guys have already received the Hong Kong land trading idea by Joey. I think the last one that was sent was actually yesterday. So for those of you guys who are not a client of Joey under Phillip Security, right, and you would like to also receive trading ideas, like how all of you guys over here, right, you know, like Glenn, like Styler, like John, right, all of them here who are already a client, they have also been receiving, you know, trading ideas about stocks like that, right? About stocks like Hong Kong land that we are going to analyze right now, right? And that's where, you know, every day you will get the trading ideas through WhatsApp daily live. And the thing is that it's at no additional cost. It's for free, right? It's for free. So I believe Joey, I believe Bervin has already put the link in the chat. So if you guys are keen and would like to get all these top trading ideas by WhatsApp, right, daily for free, feel free to actually fill up the link in the chat, right? And then you can actually get more information from there as well. Okay. All right. So right now, let's dive right back into Barney's question. Right, Barney is actually asking about Hong Kong land. You're thinking about buying. So what price to buy, right? What price to buy? So this stock definitely is also one of the stocks that is on Joey's watch list and is also on our watch list, right? And let me tell you why is it on our watch list, right? Basically, the thing is that when we look at Hong Kong land, right? Hong Kong land, when we look at it from a bigger perspective, maybe not too long, maybe even if you talk about just like 1 year or so, do you see that this chart generally is actually moving up, but it has been kind of consolidating sideways, and now it's starting to show some strength again, especially in the moving averages, right? Let me just zoom in for you guys to see, right? So the moving averages, which is always the trend, right? We see that longer term trend, blue line going up, red line, okay, like at least it's not pointing down, right? It was going up, maybe flattening out a little, but generally it's kind of like still going up. The green line, which is the short-term trend, was kind of like, you know, going up and down when it was consolidating, right? It was down in October to November, but now it's gaining some strength again, and it's pointing back up, right? And somewhat it crossed above the 100 days moving average, right? So in terms of the trend wise, it's looking that it's getting some momentum, right? Uptrend, potentially there could be some uptrend reversal, right? And the levels that I think Joey and us that we are actually watching out for would be this 660, right? Around this 650 to 660, this level right over here, right? This would be a zone that we are looking out for if prices is able to firmly break and hold above this 660 resistance. Because this level, right, I would say that this level, as you can see over here, it actually did manage to break above it, right? Somewhere in September, middle of September, but very quickly, right? You can see based on this candlestick alone, this is a very, very, very bearish candlestick. You can see that price went all the way up to about close to the 750. But somewhere during the trading day, selling pressure came back very strong. The bears came in very strongly and pushed the price all the way down. And subsequently, the next few days, you can see like red bearish candlesticks coming in, right? And it went back below the 660 level. Then we also got another 1 GD bearish signal coming in, right? So like I've mentioned now, when we see a 1 GD bearish signal, it doesn't mean that the stock will crash. It just means that there is more weakness coming back in, there's more selling pressure returning, and you want to be a bit more cautious, right? So as you can see, the stock didn't crash, right? It just pulled back, right? It went all the way back, and then it went to test the support level, right? I think the support level that we have drew here is around this 580 to about this $6. I think this would be the support level that we are actually looking at, right? This 660 580 to $6 support level. This will be a zone, right? A zone for the support level, right? So I mean, of course, the thing is that if price is able to break and hold above this 660, so like what Joey mentioned in his trading note, right, that could be a potential catalyst, right? A potential catalyst for a next leg up, right? And the next leg up, I think we are looking towards very clearly, right? The resistance, y'all can see the selling pressure return where? Near these $7.50. So that would definitely be one of the targets that we are looking at, right? But before that, remember that $7, right? I think $7 here is one that perhaps you might also want to take note of, because $7, it is a psychological resistance level. So if $7, I think that will be the initial first target, followed by the next target about $7.50. All right, but that is provided that price can break and hold firmly above the 660 first. Right now it's about 664. Still testing. The past few days, as you can see right over here, these few days, you can see that it is indeed testing. Have not break yet. We have not have a firm confirmation yet, but I think this is something that we are watching very, very closely. If it can break and firmly hold above the 660, then definitely we will see more upside, more potential upside, and also that being a catalyst, right, for the next leg up for Hong Kong land. But of course, if prices test, and then didn't manage to break above the 660, then potentially what we can look out for would be then a sideways range trading already, right? And that would be between the range of what? About this 580 to $6 to this $6.60, which is the range that it has kind of like been trading since like July all the way to where we are at right now. Okay, so for money, I think right now, if you are, for those of you who are able to accept a more aggressive approach or aggressive strategy, right, then definitely I think that's where you want to set your price alert above the 660, right? Definitely above the 660 a couple of times, right, to see whether this 660 can really hold, right? And if it does, this 660 would eventually turn to become a new higher support, right? And when we think about buying, we want to buy near a support, and this would be the zone that we can potentially look at to position ourselves for entry for the next leg up towards $7.50. But for those who are a bit more conservative, right, then perhaps you can wait for a retracement right back to what the range trading that we have talked about. But of course, I don't know whether price will go back to the $586 range lah. But if selling pressure is strong and it pulls back, then this could be an opportunity for those who are a bit more risk adverse and prefer, price retracement strategy. Then that is something for you to actually consider as well. So nothing wrong to set price alert at both levels around this $580 to $6. This could be one. The next one, price alert to set could be around the 660 to maybe about 670, this level right over here. Okay, so those are two strategies that you guys can actually think about. Set some price alert, monitor some of the key levels like $7 and $7.50. Overall, this still looks good and it's definitely still in our watch list. Okay, so that would be for Hong Kong land. Back over to Bervin to cover the next stock.
Okay, thanks Z. Okay, let's just move on to the next stock right there. Okay, here we go. Jenny. Good morning, Jenny. So Sembcorp prices seems to be weakening. Bought at 6.16, hold or sell. All right, okay, let's take a look at Sembcorp Industries right here. I think firstly, what stands out to me is, there was a recent rebound after prices sold down very aggressively during their earnings. I think right now they found a previous resistance around that 660 level, which was where prices had consolidated in May. All right, in May, prices consolidated around this level for about a month or so before breaking higher. We went back to that level to test it again. All right, test it again. But unfortunately, we see sellers taking control, profit taking actually coming back in again, and prices pulled back. All right, prices pulled back and wasn't able to hold above that temporary support of 620. All right, 620 gave way, and as of yesterday, we also saw that psychological $6 level also giving way. All right, so I think in the nearer term, definitely we are seeing weakness. All right, Jenny, for Sembcorp Industries. All right, that longer term trend, the 100 days moving average, had previously just been moving sideways, then started to point down. As of today, we are looking, or it looks to be testing the 200 days moving average already. So if it crosses below, then that is what we call a bearish crossover. I think that is a confirmation or a signal to you that the longer term trend could be reversing. Reversing for the better or for the worse, it looks like it could be reversing for a downtrend, toward a downtrend. So if that happens, you will have the 20 days moving average below the 100 days moving average, below the 200 days moving average. So although that 200 days moving average currently is still looking like it's pointing up, we could very soon see it start to flatten out if that weakness continues. All right, if the weakness continues, so not a great sign. For now, we actually have also a 1GT bearish signal came in on the day where that 620 support was broken, now turned into a resistance. All right, so prices are being kept under two resistance as of right now. So I think not a fantastic sign that it will potentially rebound. All right, so with that next support right around that $5.60 level, I would say 560 would be the next support level that bargain hunting could come back in. So your thought is to hold or to sell good. At least you're not thinking of averaging down. You're not thinking of buying some more as the prices are coming down. So I think you are thinking to sell. So I think you bought at, there we go, 616. 616, I think, to the current support or the current price level. That is about 25 cents loss, about 4% loss. I think that is still pretty much okay. Okay, but I'm not too sure about your position size. Not too sure about position size, and you cannot go through position sizing as well. I think it's a little bit too deep as well. So I think we want to just watch out. All right, watch out if that 560 level is breached as well, then we can see potential weakness back towards even that $5 psychological support. So I think for now, if we do not see any potential buyers or potential consolidation close to that $6 resistance, and we continue to see weakness, I think you may want to consider a plan to reduce some exposure. Reduce some exposure from Sembcorp Industries first, because longer term trend is weakening, shorter term weakness is still present. Several supports were not able to hold. All right, psychological support not being able to hold, and then a temporary support wasn't able to hold as well. So I think you need to be a little bit careful. Be a little bit careful, especially if your position is quite big. You don't want to get stuck. All right, you don't want to get stuck. And when you see that shorter term trend, starting to stabilize, that longer 100 days moving average start to stabilize again, maybe prices breaking above that $6 psychological resistance at this point, turning into a support, I think that could potentially, that's how you can position yourself for a re-entry as well. But definitely that 1GT bearish signal still present, and if that 560 level is going to be giving way as well, you can potentially see another 1GT bearish signal. So I think right now it's not too late to get out. Losses are still not too wide. All right, losses are still not too wide. You still have an opportunity to minimize those losses. All right, so if you guys want to just very, very quickly test out the 1GT indicator, I think Joey have also provided a 1GT light trial. All right, so of course the pro version, we have that additional trailing support, horizontal support, position sizing table as well. But for the light 1GT Lite, you will be able to still see the 1GT signals. I think that's a good one for you, especially if you just want a quick opinion whether weakness is present or not. You can just click the link in the chat that actually Z have just very nicely placed it as well. Okay, so I think that is for Sembcorp Industries. Maybe Jenny, you want to place some alerts above that $6 level to see if that $6 level is retaken, or you want to place some stop limit orders to reduce some exposure as well. Okay, so pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Okay, so before I cover the next stock, right, I think maybe we'll go through what we have already covered, right, so far. So just to let you guys know, in case you guys are looking at asking the same stock again, but don't worry, because after this live show, this replay will be available on YouTube, right, and you guys can actually rewatch it again. Okay, so just a recap, right? So Bavin actually started off with the STI index, followed by the S&P 500, a quick market overview. And the first stock that he covered was actually Bumitama, right? Followed by Singtel, covered Singtel. Third stock is Thaibev. The fourth one is Propnex, Propnex. The fifth one is Samudera Shipping, followed by Centurion, which is the sixth stock. The seventh stock is SIA Engineering, covered by Bavin. And then the eighth stock would be Hong Kong Land, right? And Bavin has just covered Sembcorp Industries, which is the ninth stock. Okay, so now I'll be covering the next stock, which is the 10th stock, and that would be by Vincent, right? Vincent, I hope you're still here. You are asking about Far East Orchard, right? Hi team, can have a look at Far East Orchard, please. Looking to buy and have a general question. Is volume another consideration for trading? Very good question. Okay, so let's take a look at Far East Orchard, right? And along the way, maybe we can also answer your question regarding volume as well. Okay, so for Far East Orchard, right now, I assume that maybe you are not holding on to any position because you are looking to buy, right? Looking to buy. So when we look at Far East Orchard, right, as you can see from this particular chart on its own, you can see that Far East Orchard previously is a very, very boring stock. You can see that it's kind of like, wow, just going sideways since like 2021. It just moved sideways, and only recently in 2025, we start to see some action and some interest returning back to the counter. Previously, I think previously it's just a pretty stable like REIT stock that people maybe hold just for like, dividends and things like that. But right now, there is more interest returning Previously, I would think that it is much more illiquid. And to answer your question, volume definitely is another consideration that we actually look out for also, because definitely we do not want to go buy or trade into any illiquid stock, right? Because the thing is that maybe you can buy, but you buy already, and if the volume is not sufficient and it's very illiquid, right? Wow, then how? You cannot sell, right? Or when you sell already, the spread, right, the bid and the ask could be very wide. So that's the reason why sometimes we don't want to look at stocks that volume is actually too low or it is too illiquid. Okay, so definitely that is one of the things that you would want to consider when you look at stocks as well, to decide whether is it a stock that you really want to consider trading or hold or even buy in the first place. Okay, so for Far East Orchard at this point in time, in terms of the trend, right, because you're thinking about buying, right, longer term trend definitely looks okay, right? Red and the blue line is actually still pointing up. Longer term moving average positive, right? Shorter term trend, the green line, up and down, right? Up and down. It was going up, sideways, up, then down, and now it is showing signs of it. It is, let me just zoom in. It's showing signs of it pointing back up again. But has it crossed above the 100 days moving average? Not yet, right? Because ideally, what we want to see about thinking when we think about buying is green above the red, above the blue, right? This is the ideal uptrend that we want to look at. When we think about buying, the moving averages, ideally, it must look like that, right? At this point in time, not yet. So that could be one of the confirmation that you want to look out for, right? For the green to cross above the red, and all three are pointing up, even better, right? Even better. And the next confirmation that perhaps, right, you might want to actually look out for is for another 1GT bullish signal. Why? Because right now, do we have a bullish signal? No. We only got 1GT bearish signal, right? And it came out when? On 7th of November, right over here, right? But the stock never crashed, it didn't crash, right? It just means that there's more selling pressure, and indeed, more selling pressure actually returned, right? You can see that it went all the way down, but subsequently buying pressure come back and prices rebounded, right? So at this point in time, prices has rebounded, right? But we just needed a bit more confirmation, or we want a bit more confirmation before taking any further action lah, right? And in terms of resistance wise, right, we can see that resistance, where is it at? Is at about this $1.35 right over here. And why do I say so is because when prices near this level somewhere in September, selling pressure returned, right? And in fact, these few candlesticks right over here, when it actually indeed touched the $1.35, that is where selling pressure came back, and we have a very, very long upper shadow. So when we see long upper shadow, right, it really just means that there's a lot of selling pressure returning. Then some of you guys might be asking, hey, but this long upper shadow is green. Does it make a difference? Not really, because the candlestick tells us a story, right, or as to what actually happened during the trading day itself. So be it green or be it red, right, as long as we know that there's this very long upper shadow coming out over here, right, it just gives you a bearish implication already. It just gives you the sentiment that during the trading day, selling pressure is very strong, right? And even though it's green, it doesn't really matter, right? If it's red, not so good. Even if it's green, also not so good, right? Because of this bearish implication of this strong selling pressure right over here, right? So we know that $1.35 right over here is the resistance level, right? So that is where, you know, potentially you can also set some price alert, right? If prices were to head up to this level, and if you decided to got in after we get some confirmation, right, this is where, you know, potentially you can actually take some profits as well, right? If prices were to reach near the resistance level, because like what we always mention, when price is near resistance, that's where we potentially can take some profits, right? And if prices can break and hold above these $1.35, what is the potential upside targets that we are looking towards, right? I think the next one we can look towards will be about the $1.50, because that will be a psychological level, right? $1.50, $2, $2.50, those are psychological levels, right? And if you were to look all the way back, I think right over here, right, I think this is way too far back already. This is more than like 10 over years, right? So $1.35, I think based on the recent price action, like just based on the last year or so, this would be a very crucial level that you want to watch out for to see whether price can break above it. And if it does, the next upside targets that we are looking at towards would be about a 10% increase to about $1.50. But provided you must be able to break above 135 first, and we want to see for the confirmations that we have mentioned about, right? Moving averages all pointing up, green, red, then blue, and we get a 1GT bullish confirmation. Okay, so like what Bervin has mentioned earlier on, right, in terms of the 1GT light trial, right, that's something that perhaps, you know, you might want to test drive it, right, on your own, for you guys who do not already have access to, you know, the indicators that we are using, because we are using the pro one, right, whereby we can actually see so many other different things, and this much more in depth, right, even position sizing table, volume change. But those of you here, you know, who are just scrolling and thinking about, hey, where do you actually get these signals? So that is where you can actually click on the link to test drive it free for 14 days, right? And then you can see for yourself as well. You can just with a click of a button, you can see for yourself as well when will the 1GT bullish indicator actually comes out, right? Okay, so that would be a very quick one for Far East Orchard. Overall, I think not too bad, right? Not too bad, I think, but just at this point in time, we want to wait for a bit more confirmation before thinking about positioning ourselves for entry. Okay, Vincent, I hope that helps and also answer your questions regarding the volume. Back over to you, Bervin, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Z. Okay, let's go. Here. Hi, host. So your team covered Siong as buy. Now it dropped to 2.64. Can still hold or buy? Okay, there we go. Let me just add it to the screen. There we go. Okay, so we have Siong on the screen right now. I think previously, like a bit like all those other stocks as well, we only started to see a little bit of a movement towards the middle of this year. All right, prior to that, you know, prices were just quite boring quite boring. It was just moving sideways under a resistance 160, and then finally it woke up. It woke up in April. In the middle of April, it woke up and prices very, very quickly pushed to a new high, breaking above that 180 level. Right, consolidating a little bit, pushing even higher, breaking above that $2 psychological level, consolidating from end of July all the way until October, about 3 months, and then pushing once again. All right, so that is a very, very big move. All right, so from the first 1GT signal all the way until now already, I think it's about 63% move from where we were in April. All right, so I think prices are taking a little bit of breather again as it starts to potentially consolidate in a new higher phase. All right, a new higher phase. We actually have plotted that the target or the resistance will be around that 280 level. Right, will be around that 280 level, and prices are finding a little bit of a temporary support around that 260 level. Right, this is where prices are a bit of consolidating. It's consolidating again once again close to a support very similar to what had happened back then in August as well. So I think it's completely okay. It's completely okay for stocks to consolidate, move higher, consolidate again, move higher. I think that is in fact a sign of a healthier uptrend. You don't want the prices to just go higher and higher and higher and higher each day. Firstly, that is not sustainable. And when it falls, it can fall very quickly. So that's not what you want to look for in a stock. A longer term consolidation or longer term lack of consolidation is more dangerous. Right now, I think the 100 days, 200 days moving average holds is still pointing up. It's still pointing up. Well, it's a little bit of catching up to do, definitely, as compared to that 20 days moving average. I think right now we are still seeing that the 20-day moving average is in fact still pointing up, right? So if we are going to just turn on that trailing support and resistance, we can see that trailing support has been around since April, just moving up with the stock. I think right now it's about $2.56. And now prices are very, very close to a buy zone. I mean, we are in fact in the buy zone itself, and which is above that trailing support. That horizontal support is just right there. So this could be a level where people look to accumulate as well. Look at that right there in July as well. A little bit of consolidation above that horizontal support, above that trailing support. It looks to be rather similar, right? All right. So if you are looking to buy, there are two possible entries. Right, there's still two possible entries right here. First entry would be close to that horizontal support, which is right where the stock is currently at as well. Or the second entry would be very, very close to that trailing support. Which one would I prefer? I would personally prefer the entry closer to the horizontal support. All right, because it gives me a little bit more conviction, because at this point of time, 20 days moving average is still currently pointing up. And I can place that stop limit order or that stop loss order just below the trailing support as well. All right, so the downside isn't a lot, but we are still satisfied with that upside towards 280 at the same time. All right, so definitely if you buy closer to the trailing support, that risk to reward or the reward to risk is a lot better. It will be a 5 cents more, but then what happens if that trailing support is immediately broken? So we run the risk of that. We rather prices just move a little bit sideways, closer to the horizontal support, and then potentially enjoying the upside towards 280 first. All right, so I think that drop is just a profit taking move. I think not too much of a concern as of now. I think some alerts being set up above 280 is good as well. So you can get yourself alerted if the upside towards $3 is potentially unlocked, if $2.80 gives way. All right, so after a prolonged or say a meaningful consolidation, perhaps you can even see another 1 GT bullish signal coming right in if that 280 level gives way. But I think we want to just be a little bit more careful, because you say now it dropped, can still hold or buy, so you're probably already sitting on some profit. All right, so you can just use that trailing support as a stop limit order level, reference it 2 to 3 bits under. I think it's just fine. 2 to 3 bits under that trailing support, you will still most probably get out with some profits, especially if been accumulating on the way up as well. You should be sitting on a tidy profit. All right, so I think that is for Siong. I think still looking good so far. I think we will continue to monitor this stock as well, as because it's on our watch list at the same time. So now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bavin. Okay, so the next stock, right, that I have over here would be by Sun One, right? I bought SIA, at 650. Should I sell now at a loss? Okay, so I believe now you guys can actually see the SIA chart over here, right? So Simon mentioned that he bought at 650, right? And today what we are seeing right now is that, you know, prices have actually dipped, right? And one of the reasons why, right, is also because if you guys see here, today, as you can see, ex-dividend date, 5th of December, 8 cents. So today price actually opened at about $6.39. Now it's at about $6.32. So that's actually, you know, sometimes when, especially stocks that give out dividend, right, the price will actually adjust accordingly and drop according to the dividend amount. So roughly now it's about 7 cents. So the dividends is how much? It's about 8 cents. So roughly about that, right? But that's not the point, right? Because sometimes when stocks actually adjust for dividend, that's one thing, right? But the key thing over here, right, that I want to highlight is that today, price, it actually opened below this $6.40. So actually by right, this $6.40, I change it to a rate already, right? Because this $6.40 was actually a very key support level previously when prices was actually, you know, trading from May onwards, right? As you can see right over here, right, it was actually a level that price actually managed to hold above since May, right? And somewhere in June, it actually even retested this level. Price rebounded all the way up to the high of $7.30. Wow. Then didn't manage to hold, right? Came all the way back down, right? A bit volatile, right? But overall, since May, it was actually holding above this 640. But today, the thing is that price actually opened below the 640, turning this to become what we call a resistance. But of course, if you were to ask me or Bervin or Joey, right, any one of us to say, hey, whether the price will hold back above the 640, we don't know, right? But I know that today it seems pretty weak. And also the trend. So that is just the price action alone, right? Just based on like today, right? But the trend itself, right, is also not that positive anymore. Why? Because 20 days moving average has been pointing down. Red line also attempting to point out and seems like it's attempting to cross below the blue line, which is the longer term moving average. So that is not ideal already, right, in terms of the longer term trend, because we want everything to be pointing up, not pointing down, and not having a bearish crossover, right? So that's one thing to note about the trend, right? And the third thing to actually note is that we got 2 consecutive 1GT bearish signal. So couple all of these things together, your price action, your moving averages, the confirmation from the 1GT bearish signal, not that great, right? Not that great. So in terms of Sunone, right, I don't know whether you, when you first bought into this, counter at 650, right, was it, again, the thing is that not sure where is it, right? Because 650, a lot of times it touched 650 since May. Was it here? Was it here? Was it here? Was it here? Or was it here? Of course, I hope it is not here, the last one, because by right here, you shouldn't even be buying already, because we got 2 consecutive 1GT bearish signal. Everything doesn't look that great in terms of the trend. But right here, shouldn't even be buying, right? But if you have bought somewhere here or here, great, right? Not too bad. Not too bad, because we got 1GT bullish signal coming out as well. But the thing is that, sayang lah, never take profits earlier lah, because it went all the way up to 750, right? So not too sure where you bought it, but regardless of where you actually bought it, need to have a stop loss plan in place. I'm not too sure whether you already have a stop loss plan in place, whereby by right, it should be placed slightly below the support level, right, which is this $6.40 lah. You can place it below this $6.40, right? Or, you know, right over here, because if it breaks this 640, like what we mentioned, right, selling pressure, it just means that selling pressure is pretty strong, right? And when we look back in terms of the price action in April, can you see that right over here, April, this was the period where Trump first announced the tariff, right? If you guys actually remember, then wow, the entire market actually sold off. There's a lot of fear in the market, and this was what actually happened to SIA, right? And the price, of course, it also did, right? It was not spared, but it quickly rebounded back up, right? And this was the period in April whereby you can see that, wow, price surged up very quickly. And during this period, there isn't any areas whereby we can potentially see some sort of buying pressure returning, right? But very clearly, we can see that this $5.70, this is where one of the very crucial support level is at. Why? Because of candlesticks like that. You know, just now we were talking about candlesticks with long upper shadow, right? Now it is the opposite, candlestick with long lower shadow, and that means buying pressure is present. It's the opposite, right? It's the opposite. And when buying pressure is present, same thing, right? It has more of a positive implication compared to the long upper shadow, right? So 570 definitely would be one of the very crucial support level to note. So now when price break the 640, right, like I've mentioned, price here in April surged all the way up without any sort of like consolidation happening, right? So I'm not too sure now when price actually break below the 640, where potentially can the buying pressure or like buyers come back to support the prices? Not too sure, right? But what we are looking at, or what we do know, right, is that there could be a potential downside of up to 10% back towards the $5.70 support, which is the very crucial support like we've mentioned here. Perhaps, I don't know, somewhere around here, right? Maybe this $6, right? Based on the price action, based on here, right? January, February of 2025, perhaps this could be where, you know, potential buyers could actually come back, right? This could be one that we could monitor. Not sure, right? Not sure, because at this point in time in April, there isn't any sort of consolidation as well. So I don't know, right? Your guess could be as good, right? But this is where perhaps we can set some price alert to monitor as well, right? Maybe near the $6 to see whether is buying pressure actually returning. But setting the $6 mark doesn't mean that when the price reaches $6, maybe some of you are thinking about buying, you want to buy at $6. No, because at the end of the day, like we've mentioned, we always need to look at the bigger picture. Look at the trend. Is the trend actually reversing back up? That's the first question, right? Are the moving averages pointing back up? Is there positive confirmation from the 1GT bullish signal coming back in, right? Those are the things that we want to look out for. But for someone's question right now, whether you should sell at a loss now, think about your stop loss plan, think about your downside, right? Because if you continue to hold and hold and hold, is there a possibility that price might reach back to 570 and then there could be a 10% loss? There could be, right? There could be. So the thing is that we don't want to get ourselves stuck in situations like that. So always think about your stop loss plan, and general rule of thumb is always to place it below support levels, because once the support level is broken, not that great. Selling pressure is back, and that's when we want to think about reducing our exposure. Okay, so someone, I hope that helped to give you something to think about, and especially for those of you, you know, who are thinking about like, hey, SIA, you know, is I mean, Singapore airline, right? One of our national carrier, and think about buying. But at this point in time, I think it is better to actually monitor first and to wait for more confirmations. All right, so that would be for SIA. Back over to you, Bervin, to cover the next stock.
All right, okay, thanks Z. So let's go right here. Okay, so first last is asking, hi, good morning. Sorry, it's good afternoon already. Chart seems sloping. SIA Engineering chart seems sloping up in trend, inside trend. Any 1GT to enter as now on support line. Okay, so I believe you are referring to the sideways consolidation of ST Engineering, and potentially could there be an entry for you to get in close to a support? I think for SIA Engineering, we have been pretty much, you know, just moving a little bit sideways after the prices have pushed up very, very quickly throughout this year. I think towards the start of this year, hey, there was pretty much a lot of bullish up moves, a lot of bullish price actions, but it's stabilized quite a little bit, right? It's stabilized above that 750 level, all right, above that $8.15 level. I think that is where prices or buyers found support. Do a bit of bargain hunting. Right, so but I think in the nearer term, I think since October, we have this 1GT bearish signal that is playing out. All right, they're still playing out as of now. So this is a very, very classic example that when we always say that there's a 1GT bearish signal, doesn't mean prices will crash all the way down. You see, prices can in fact find a support. All right, can in fact find a support, you know, rebounding from support once, twice in the past few months. Whether it's going to rebound again one more time, I don't know. But the probability is there because this was a level that has consistently been tested. Right? It's consistently been tested as well. So if you are looking to get in, are there signs or sufficient confirmations for you to get in? All right, yes, I agree with you that prices are very close to the support, the horizontal support, and in fact deep to roughly the buy zone as well today. But we have that 20 days moving average pointing down. So a little bit of a mixed signal. A little bit of a mixed signal. Longer term trend, the 100 days moving average looks like it's flattening out. Just moving a little bit sideways. 200 days moving average is currently pointing up. All right, so let's recognize that there is the risk of the nearer term trend continuously weakening. And where could that downside be? If that $8 psychological support doesn't hold, we could potentially see this downside towards 750. All right, 750. And then if it holds, we may see a potential rebound towards a temporary resistance since it has tested it quite a few times, twice in fact. Let's see, about that $8.70. So this is the upside and downside that you are potentially facing if you would like to enter this trade, especially with a 1GT bearish signal. You may want to be a little bit more careful as well. You do not want to get stuck and then another 1GT bearish signal coming in and then you end up buying some more at the lower price just to average out. So I think if you are looking to do a little bit of range trading, it is possible. It is possible, but I think we shouldn't be too stuck about it. If prices really indeed break below the $8 level, it could be a sign for you to already get out tighter, stop loss, don't want to participate in that downside, right? So just stop loss level maybe about there. You at the current price you are seeing at about 23 cents loss, about 2.8% loss. So probably proper position sizing. All right, I think yes, potentially this could be a trade, a range trade, not a breakout trade, right? The uptrend, I think it's just pretty much be a little bit more range bound for the foreseeable future. Maybe if we see a breakout towards the above that $8.70 level, yeah, the upside towards $9 can be unlocked. And definitely if that $9 level gives way, it will be a next phase of that uptrend. But I think still a little bit too early to say. So maybe just set up some alerts below that $8 level, maybe about $7.95, $7.94 if you are going to enter, and then also set up some alerts closer to the $8.70 level, maybe 868, 867, just to get yourself alerted that potentially we are approaching a resistance. It could be okay to take some profits as well. All right. So of course today we do not have time to go through the whole position sizing, risk management part of things. But if you want to find out a little bit more, I think Z, can you help me place the link in the chat for the 1GT webinar that Joey is going to hold live on the 6th of January, the first one for 2026. All right, I think it will be 7:30 p.m. in the evening. So I mean, just do check out the link if you want to, can sign up there as well. All right, okay, so that is for ST Engineering. Still, I think Z's darling counter. So right now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Vervin. Okay, so the next one that I have over here would be by Amos, right? Amos, I hope you are still here. This is asking about CNMC, right? CNMC Goldmine, bought average price about $1.12, right? So CNMC actually is one of those stocks that I believe Joey has also shared a lot in his trading ideas, right, by WhatsApp, right? Especially for those of you who are clients, you probably would have also received it, right? Because this stock, right, if you were to ask us, a couple of months back, right, definitely is a very good stock, right? You can see that when the first 1GT bullish signal actually came out, right, in April, right over here, 11th of April, to where the 1GT bearish signal came out. Let me just see, that's about 200% profits from the first 1GT bullish signal came out to the first 1GT bearish signal came out, right? So not too bad, right? I mean, definitely we are seeing positive movements for CNMC, right? For if you were to ask us a couple of months back. So for those of you who have managed to got in, got out, earn some money from this stock, congrats, right? But for those of you who perhaps after you guys bought in somewhere around here, right, prices actually pulled back, right? So what are some of the levels that potentially we can actually look out for and to set some alerts on, right? So the thing is that right now CNMC, it looks like there's some is resting lah. It seems like it is resting because it has moved quite a bit over the past year, right? And right now, the very crucial or one of the very key support, right, for CNMC to look out for definitely will be the $1 psychological level, right over here. This crucial support level. Previously, as you can see here, right, this $1 level was actually a resistance, right? So somewhere in September, right, you can see price surge all the way up, tested this $1, right, unable to break above it, pulled back for a couple of days, right, near towards the 90 cents, and then bam, it went up, break this $1 and managed to hold above it since then, right? So $1 definitely has been tested as a support, as a resistance first, then tested as a support, right? Then price went all the way up to about $1.40, pulled back, came down, and right now over the past month or so, right, it has been testing the $1 as a support as well. So I would say $1 definitely is one of the very, very crucial support level, right? Definitely to watch out for, because if this $1 support level is to be broken, right, potential downside that we are looking towards, right, would be back towards the 80 cents level right over here. But perhaps at, like what I mentioned, right, perhaps at this 90 cents, potentially there could be buying pressure returning near the 90 cents based on the previous price action somewhere in September, right? But the downside that we are looking at definitely will be towards the 80 cents if prices is unable to hold above this $1, right? So the thing is that if it breaks below the $1, then you will want to think about, hey, what is my stop loss plan, right? Because if prices were to break below support, like we mentioned, not that great. Selling pressure are returning. The bears are actually winning, right? The bulls are not winning, but the bears are winning, right? And that's where we want to reduce our exposure and to minimize our losses, right? So resistance wise, right now, very clearly resistance drawn at about this $1.20 right over here, because this is where this level was being tested as a resistance, break out above it, unable to hold above it, right? And then tested it again one more time, somewhere in 24th of October, right over here. Wait, I think the signals is correct. Yeah. Okay, can you guys see now? So right over here, these areas, right, as you can see, a lot of like candlestick with very long lower shadows are not that great. Like, it just means that there's a lot of selling pressure that is present here, this $1.20. That is the reason why this $1.20 would be the immediate resistance that we want to take note of, right? So if prices can head back towards the $1.20 right over here near the $1.20, is it okay to actually take some profits? I would think it's perfectly fine to take some profits near the resistance. Nothing wrong because we know that based on past price action, that is where selling pressure previously returned, right? So if prices can, really manage to hold above this $1 and head back towards the $1.20, nothing wrong to actually take some profits at this $1.20. Okay, and if prices can break and hold above this $1.20, then potential upside that we are looking at is back towards the $1.40, which was the high back in October right over here. But one thing that I want to clear up, right, with everybody right over here, right, is that CNMC Goldmine, because I believe this stock CNMC Goldmine has also been in a lot of people's watch list and interest, because as you guys know, gold prices have actually surged, right? But just to let you guys know, this stock does not track the gold prices, right? Just if you are looking to get exposure into gold prices, this is not one of it, right? I mean, definitely, yes, you do get exposure to gold, but it's not directly tracking the gold price, okay? So because this company, as you guys can see right over here, right, it does operate gold mining and other operations as well in gold, lead, zinc, concentrate. So there are other elements that they are actually looking at. It's not just pure gold related companies. So, but gold does have effect on companies like that, but it just doesn't track the gold price directly. So if you are looking at tracking the gold price, there are other counters that you can actually look out for as well. Like the gold counters. What's the code? GLD, right? There is GLD. Okay, so GLD, this one is for the US one, right? So, but the thing is that for CNMC, right, this counter right over here, just to let you know, it doesn't track the gold prices. Okay, so these would be some of the levels, right? Then perhaps aimers that you can think about. Key thing is to watch for this. Definitely watch for this $1 psychological level because at least for now we got 1 GT bearish signal, but the 20 days moving average is actually starting to flatten out. So it's not that worrying. If it continues to point out, I think that's a bit worrying and potentially we might see another 1 GT bearish signal. But now it seems like prices seems to be stabilizing a bit, and watch for this $1 level. If it breaks, that's where you want to think about reducing some exposure to minimize some of the losses as well that you might have. Okay, so that would be for CNMC. Bhavin, back over to you to cover the next stock.
All right. Okay. So it's about 12:24 now. So maybe me and Z will cover one more requested stock each, and then we will dive right into the bonus stock because we'll be going on for about 2 hours already. Okay, Z?
Okay, can, sure.
Can okay. So here we go. So I think let's just pick this one. Melina. Hi, Melina. Can we look at Yangzijiang Shipbuilding? Sell or hold? Okay, let's go. We got Yangzijiang Shipbuilding here. I think the stock code is BS6. So I think Yangzijiang now have 3 counters. Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, Yangzijiang Financial, and Yangzijiang Maritime. So don't confuse the 3 counters. If you are going to sell or going to buy this, buy the correct one that you intend to buy. Okay, so here we go. I think a little bit of consolidation is currently happening for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I think pretty much after breaking above the $3.20 resistance in September, we pretty much find the stock just going a little bit sideways. Right, you can see that from the 20 days moving average. From the 20 days moving average, it just started to flatten out, not be as steep anymore, and then pointing down. Now it's just a little bit flat. All right, so if you are looking to sell, what are the levels to actually watch out for? All right, so it is currently in a consolidation phase, so you can pick up the opportunity to sell close to that resistance, that $3.55 resistance, or maybe even upwards to about that 360 resistance. That would be what we call a resistance zone. All right, it had consolidated in this zone in October, but not able to break above to form a new higher support. Right, so it just saw some profit taking coming in, prices or buyers effect coming in close again to that 320 level. So I think right now we are not in that resistance zone. We are about $3.40. So I think Melina, if you are actually holding on to some Yangzijiang Shipbuilding shares, not too sure what is your cost price. Not sure what is your cost price, but if your cost price is above or under that $3.20 level, you are sitting already on some profits. All right, so you may want to just turn on that trailing support and resistance right there. You can see that the trailing support is right at that horizontal support of $3.20. So a break below this level, you may see prices even crossing below that 100 days moving average. So you can lock up some profits, or you can set up some stop limit orders to lock up the profits. Even if prices break below that support, you are still getting out with profits. All right, the other way would be to sell some of the positions. To sell some, I never say all. Why? It's because the longer term trend, the reversal into the uptrend still looks to be intact. That 100 days moving average pointing up firmly, 200 days moving average sloping up. All right, so it still looks good. The longer term trend still looks good. The shorter term trend is currently pointing up, but it looks to be in a consolidation position. All right, so you want to leave some position to actually ride that upside, towards where, if that $3.55 level gives way, that could open the upside towards about $3.90 even. So you can leave yourself some exposure to continue to ride the trend if you like. But it is completely okay to take some profits close to that $3.55 level, and maybe perhaps for the remaining of their position, set up a stop limit order under 320 just to get out. All right, just to get out with profits as well. So I think a break above that 355 level could see another 1GT bullish signal come in, which could send prices even higher. All right, so that is a very quick one for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the last requested stock for today before we go into our bonus stocks.
Okay, thanks, Mervin. Okay, so coming to the last one from you guys, maybe I'll pick this one from Styler. Right, Styler is actually asking about Lendlease. Right, Lendlease, I believe it's a Lendlease REIT lah. So average cost is at 0.64, can add more at 0.61. So for REITs counter, right, as you can see, if I were to zoom out, right, REITs counter, typically the movement will be kind of like going sideways one, because typically that's you want REITs to be stable, right? And that's where you collect dividends and things like that. So when it goes sideways, you can see for this particular counter, right, Lendlease REIT, right, it can move sideways in a sideways fashion, right, for quite a while, right? Quite a while. As you can see right here, is like from 2024 all the way to 2025, even actually 2023, right? This was this part over here, right? It was kind of like just moving sideways, then going sideways again, and now it's also going sideways, but it's just different phases of consolidation. So typically that's how a REIT should move lah. So sometimes when a REIT counter move too fast and too quickly, sometimes it can also be a bit dangerous and can also be a bit scary lah, right? But at the same time, at that point in time, probably you have collected a lot of dividends already, right? So there is nothing wrong. I emphasize, there's nothing wrong for you to actually take some profits as well. If you already gotten some dividends, and at the same time you got capital appreciation. Nothing wrong to take profits, because nobody said you cannot buy back, right? So back to this Lendlease REIT, right, by Styler, right? So Styler, you mentioned that your average cost price is 0.64. So maybe you have bought somewhere further back, right? And then now this is where your average cost price is at, which is right at the resistance right over here. I'm not too sure whether you have bought it here or bought it some time back, okay? So, but right now, 64 cents, which is your average cost price, it looks to be the resistance that is actually trading within the range. Okay, so the support, right, that we are looking at is about this 60 cents. Right over here, 60 cents, right? 60 cents would be the support zone that we are looking at, and resistance would be around this 64 cents right over here, right? So prices have kind of just been going up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So it can be in this fashion for a while, right? Nobody knows how long, but it can be in typically this sideways fashion moving for a bit, especially so for REITs counter. Right, so right now, if you are thinking about adding position at about 61 cents, right, I think there is no issues with, thinking about adding or accumulating position near this 61 cents. Why? Because it is indeed at a support zone, right? It's indeed at a support zone right over here. But of course, if this price were to break below this 60 cents, right, this 60 cents level right over here, which, it was kind of like prices was within this was one of the sideways range that we are actually looking at, right? If the price were to break below this 60 cents, the next downside or the next level that we are actually looking at, right, is towards the 44 cents here. Because can you see that right over here, right, from July all the way to where we are at right now, right? This was where price actually started to surge all the way up. But there isn't any sort of consolidation actually happening as well. And this actually happened, like prices just went all the way up, right? So if price were to break this 60 cents, is there a possibility that price could also go back all the way down? Yes, there could be, right? So like what I've mentioned earlier on for some of those stocks, right? When you actually see price surging all the way up, right? When it breaks a very crucial support level, prices could also potentially go all the way back down. But along the way, that is where we want to monitor for support levels coming back in. Where are the new support being formed? Where are the buying pressures coming in to support the prices? But at this point in time, it still looks okay, right? Because the 20 days moving average, right, it was actually going up. Then after it come down a bit, but now it seems like it's just kind of like going sideways. So when it's going sideways, potentially what we can see is also potential sideways consolidation actually happening. Longer term trend at least is still okay, because it is still red is still above the blue and is generally still heading up. But sideways consolidation, we could potentially see that in the short term movement, right over here, like so, right? And if prices can break over above the 64 cents, right, and provided that it break and hold above the 64 cents, then potential upside that we are looking at, we can do a simple projection based on the range up that will be towards the next level, about the 68 cents right over here. Right, so if you are thinking about accumulating near the support level, I think there's nothing wrong, but always think about your stop loss plan in place to have your risk management in check. In case if you were to really break below the 60 cents, then that is where you want to think about maybe reducing some exposure, or maybe even think about getting out of the position, because potentially can it head back to the 44 cents? It may, right? It may, if it doesn't find any support, or there's no buyers willing to step in to buy when it is going down. Okay, so Styler, I hope that helps to give you something to think about, and can set some price alert near the 60 cents, must provided that price retrace back to the 60 near the support zone, right, and it can hold. Then I think that is where you can potentially accumulate some position on dips as well. And in terms of taking profits, nothing wrong to take profits near the 64 cents as well. If you manage to get in at 61 cents, and then if your price manage to average down, right, then that's where if you are taking some profits, you are sitting on some profits near the 64 cents, I think there's nothing wrong to take some profits there as well. Okay, so that would be for Lendlease REITs. So far, I think overall still looking okay. At least the moving averages are not pointing down yet. Okay, so that would be all. I'll pass the time to Bervin, right, so that you can actually start sharing our bonus stock for today.
All right, thanks Z. I mean, awesome. Lendlease is, I think, still a rather good counter. I think a lot of people are actually monitoring it as well. Right, so I think we are about to just dive into our bonus stocks for today. And I know that there is a lot of those stocks that we haven't managed to cover for you guys, but there's really, really too many of it. So I mean, I saw that there's another like 20 to 30 more, but I think if we were to cover, we'll be here the whole day as well. All right, so I mean, of course, we didn't manage to cover your stocks. We're so sorry about it, but do come back and join us for our next Singapore AMAS session. Try to cover as much stocks as we can every week, but I mean, time is also limited. All right, so shall we dive into the bonus stocks? Guys, can we maybe just type B for bonus if you guys are ready to see what we have today for you guys? Well, I changed my screen. All right, okay, so I think right now my screen should be okay already. All right. Hey, hi Pinky, hi ABC. Okay, great. B, Emily B, Mui B. Okay, great. So I think we have the first bonus stock. My bonus stock for today is also something like a REIT or our trust. All right, so this is NetLink Trust. All right, okay. So I think it is we call it an infrastructure play. It is an infrastructure play. It's not a pure play for like purely dividends. It is a play for continuous growth of Singapore's infrastructure. That I believe if some of you have engaged Singtel before, right? You may see this NetLink guy coming into your house, helping you to plug your fiber cable. Honestly, I don't know what they do. How the Singtel guy do it. All right, but as long as my internet is stable, I'm able to talk to you guys here. I think they are doing a good job for sure. All right, so right now, I think the share prices are also reflecting this. Right, they are reflecting growth as well as a constant dividend. All right, so when you look for a trust, you look for a REIT, you want to look for a constant dividend payout. You don't want the company to miss one quarter, next quarter decrease dividend, or then the next quarter increase dividend again. You want it to be consistent. You want to be consistent. So for every dollar you pay, you are constantly yielding that dividend year over year. So that is what we call a good dividend play. All right, and sometimes if we see prices increasing, all right, capital appreciation is always a bonus for dividend play stocks. And so for NetLink itself, they have actually seen a very, very respectable growth. In fact, if you are seeing from that first 1GT bullish signal, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1GT bullish signals that is actually coming out. Let's just say you buy upon a breakout, right? You're buying upon a breakout, and up to today, there is still a 10 to 11 or maybe even 12% upside upon a breakout of the 85 cents resistance. Still a 12% breakout, a 12% gain on top of whatever dividends that you have actually receiving. So actually it's more than 12%. And right now, what does it look like for NetLink? I think it looks still very, very attractive. Why? Because prices have consolidated or is currently consolidating within a range of 94 cents to about 98 cents, or perhaps some will even call it $1, but I would like to call it 98 cents first. A 4 cents range as of now. We still see that trailing support heading higher, tightening with the share price as well. It's right around the 93 cents level. 93 cents level. Yes, although today I think it's a little bit harder to get in if you want to get in today, but I think that support area can be drawn upwards to that 95 cents first. I mean, towards that 98 cents level from 95 cents, that's about a 4% upside still. And if prices were to be able to break above the 98 cents level, just doing a simple projection right there, I think we would most likely see the prices break above or start trading above that $1 level already towards 102, maybe even 105. I think that is a very, very good possibility. But typically, I like Z have mentioned as well, when you buy a dividend play stock or any REIT, in fact, you're not expecting the share prices to move up very, very quickly. All right, you're supposed to move up consistently, move sideways majority of the time. You do not just want to see it move up higher and higher and higher, because that way the dividend yield will no longer make sense. It'll be too low already. Okay, so if you are looking to get in for NetLink Trust, I think just close to that 94 cents level would be great. A stop loss level, I think, would also be required. Doesn't mean have dividends, don't need to have stop loss. Stop loss level just below that trading support in the nearer term, I think could be a level to actually just be a little bit more careful about, right? Because prices have in fact raised quite a little bit over the period of 7 months. So I think you can get in, and it's not too late to get in. It's okay to be comfortable to buy a little bit more expensive, because the longer term trend is firming up alongside that shorter term trend. So we are seeing a little bit of consolidation as well. So if you're looking for some dividend play, I think you can consider Netlink Trust as one of those to be in your watch list for a longer term holding as well. All right, so now I will pass the time to Z to cover the last bonus stock for today before she wraps up for you guys as well.
All right, thank you, Bervin. Okay, so the last bonus stock that I have, and I would like to share with you guys, right, today, that will be City Development, right? So City Development, I'm not too sure if you guys probably already have this in your watch list, right? But I think definitely this is something that you can consider adding into your watch list and to monitor as well, right? Because this City Development, right, if I were to zoom out, you guys can see that previously back in 2023, 2024, wow, this City Development not good. It has just been going down, and it's very clearly this stock. Okay, sorry, let me just off all of this first, right? So that you can see the trend a bit clearer. Okay, so previously 2023, 2024, wow, this stock was just down. For those who are holding, right? But I hope you lucky. Now prices already rebounded back up. But you know, if you have been holding on for so long, wow, thank God it went back up, and now some of the levels that you can potentially be watching to actually, you know, take some profits as well. Okay. But then previously it was definitely not good. This is not where we are thinking about buying at all, because the stock, the trend is just going down, right? Downtrend is intact. Moving averages are pointing down, blue above the red and above the green, which is not what we want to see, right? And if you were to zoom into what actually happened this year, this was where the reversal actually started, right? This was where in April, like I mentioned earlier on, right, the Trump initial first tariff, and prices actually rebounded back up, right? And then that is where we started to see some signs of interest coming back into this counter. 20 days moving average starts to point back up, and it crossed both moving averages, right? The both longer term moving averages. That's the first sign really that short term trend is actually getting more strength, right? Then subsequently, the longer term moving average, the red line and the blue line actually crossed over, and we call it a bullish crossover, right? The red crossed above the blue line, which is also great, right? So now all three moving averages actually heading up, and this is what we want to see. So this is what we call like the uptrend reversal, right? From a downtrend going into an uptrend, right? And usually this is what we want to catch for as well, like an uptrend reversal, right? So right now for City Development, right? Definitely looking great, still looking great, right? Longer term trend is still positive. It is still heading up. Short term wise, it was actually going up, but now it's starting to flatten out a bit, right? It flattened out a bit, but at least it is not pointing down. It's kind of like just up and down, wobbling like sideways, right? Kind of like just moving sideways, right? So not too bad, right? But I think there are certain things that I would like to monitor as well to see, you know, whether what are some of the levels to take note of to have a potential catalyst for a next upside move, right? So right now, I haven't turned on the bullish or bearish signal yet. We just talk about the trend. Right now, we talk about the support and the resistance. Okay, so in terms of support and resistance, as you can see, I've already drawn some lines over here. One of the immediate support, right, definitely will be at this $7, $7 psychological level, right? This will be one of the immediate support. Previously, it was actually tested as a resistance right over here, right? Somewhere in August, September. This was a resistance, right? It was testing this resistance, unable to break above it. Then eventually, somewhere towards the start of October, right over here, managed to break above it. Prices came back in, selling pressure came back in to retest this $7 as a support level. So it's no longer resistance, it's a resistance turn support. So it's testing as a support, and once again, somewhere in November, testing as a support as well. And here, right, November neared it, but didn't even go close to the $7. Buying pressure come back in really. So $7, I would say, definitely one of the immediate crucial support to take note for City Development, right? That is support level, right? So now we know where is the support. Then next, we also got to look at where's the resistance, right? Because we need to know, hey, where are the selling pressure coming back? Where are profit taking happening, right? So that would be around this $7.50, right? Right over here, this is where we see that, hey, a couple of times, this level was actually tested as a resistance, right? Selling pressure is there. We know that selling pressure is there because price reached that level, pull back. Price reached that level, pull back, right? And now price haven't reached that level, we already started to see some signs of candlestick, right, whereby there is long upper shadow, which is like what I mentioned earlier on, right? Long upper shadow candlestick near resistance, typically not that great, right? It just tells you that there is really selling pressure near that level. So now we know that this zone would be what we call a sell zone, right? And this zone could be what we call a potential buy zone, right? Because it is near a support level, right? So now we have established all of these, right? And if prices can break and hold above these $7.50, what is the next potential upside target that we are looking towards, right? How do we actually do a projection? Simple, we can actually do it based on a range projection, right? Because you can see that since October all the way to where we are at now, it was just kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down within this range, right? So we can actually do a simple projection up from the 750. The next upside target that we are looking at is towards the $8, provided that if the 750 give way, like it can break and hold above, not just break only, not just like break like that, like you see, break like that one day, then after that come back down, but must break and hold above the 750, then potential upside target is towards the $8. Okay, so far so good. Everything in terms of support, resistance, and trend, right? I haven't even turned on the signals yet, right? So now let me turn on the signals and let's have a look as well. Okay, so now that I've turned on the signals, what do we see? We see not one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 consecutive 1 GT bullish signal. Does it give you another layer of confirmation that, hey, actually this stock not too bad, right? But right now, the price is actually trading at about $7.28. So you know that the support is at $7. The resistance is at 750. So it's a bit not here, not there, right? So the thing is that even though the stock is good, we don't rush into buying a stock because sometimes, like what Bervin like to say, is in a no man's land, right? Not here, not there, in the middle, right? We want to ideally buy where near support level, or if prices were to break out and break above the 750, able to hold above it, do you think that this 750, has it turned from a resistance to become what we call a higher support? Yes, right? That would then become a new higher support, and this is where we can potentially accumulate as well. So the thing is that for city development, I think definitely we are seeing some positive signs for this particular stock, right? And in terms of positioning yourself for entry, right, there's 2 ways that you can go about doing it. Number one is depending on what's your risk appetite, because for some people the risk appetite is a bit more aggressive, right? But some of you guys may be a bit more conservative. Nothing wrong, because everybody is different, right, in terms of risk appetite. So with that, there are 2 areas, like what I mentioned, right, that we can potentially set some price alert to position yourself for entry. Number one, if its prices were to actually retrace back, right, to, the $7, near this $7, this zone, right, then this is where, you can potentially position yourself for entry, accumulate some positions on a pullback, right? Set some price alert near the $7. This is for what we call like a more conservative approach, for people who prefer the price to retrace back, then enter, right? This is one of the levels, right? The next one would be when price break out above the 750, right? Because when price break out above the 750, what we are essentially saying is that 750 turned from a resistance to become a new higher support, and that is a positive thing, right? Because resistance break, become a new higher support, it means that buying pressure is pretty strong, right? And buyers are there to support the prices. So this would be considered what we call it as a breakout strategy, right? Then this is where you can potentially set price alert to accumulate as well, right? Upon a breakout, right? And this definitely will be what we call like a more aggressive strategy, not suitable for everyone because of the risk appetite, but this is also one of the areas that we can look out for, right? And in terms of targets and resistance, definitely if you get in somewhere near the $7, 750 right here, resistance, take some profit, nothing wrong, right? The next upside target that we are looking towards would be the $8 level, which is also where, some profit taking or some selling pressure could also return, right? So these few levels are some of the levels that, you can potentially set some price alerts if this stock is actually in your watch list, right? And overall, I think definitely still looking great. Don't have to rush in, but to monitor for some of the levels that was being mentioned, because right now it's a bit not here, not there, right? We don't need to rush. Always look out for the opportunities and set the alerts accordingly. And once it's alerted, you can go in to check on the stock. Okay, so I hope that gives you guys something to think about in terms of city development, and to see whether if you guys like this stock, you guys can add it into your watch list and to continue monitoring for it, because definitely this is something that I'll watch out for as well for city dev. Okay, so I think with that, we have come to the end of today's Ask Me Any Stock session. I hope it has given you guys some value as well. in terms of the bonus stock and also, the stock analysis that we have gone through. I think we have gone through about 16 stocks in total today, right? So I believe next week we will be going through the US Ask Me Any Stock Live. But just FYI, I think Joey is still on holiday. He will not be back yet. But we got a new person who is coming, right? And that will be 𝐿𝐸. If you guys already know him, he has been assisting with Joey for more than like over 2 years now as well. So he'll be coming on board and joining us for the first time on our Ask Me Any Stock session. So if you guys are keen, you guys can come and join us for the US one next week on Friday, right? Same timing, same place, YouTube and Facebook, and we hope to see you guys there. Okay, so if you guys have gotten some value from today's session, right, maybe just type V. Okay, just type V to let us know, like we always ask. So we know that you guys really have gotten some value, and that met our objective for today. At least given you some value, and you guys stay all the way to the end, and we have given you 2 bonus stock as well. Okay, so just type V if you guys have gained some values from today's live show. Let me see. V. Thanks B and Z, the dynamic duo. Great job. Thanks Melina. Welcome 𝐿𝐸. Yep. Next week, ABC, do come back, and then you will be able to see 𝐿𝐸 as well. Okay. So Pinky, the Miffy V, 𝐿𝐸𝐤𝐿 V, value by Victor. I think Victor, did we manage to cover Victor's stock today? Alex V, I think Bervin managed to cover Alex stocks as well, right? 𝐿𝐸𝐻 V, Jimson V, Cynthia, thanks B and Z. V. Okay, we have a lot of V, right? Styler, have a great weekend. Thank you very much. So thank you so much, guys. I think that is the end. Bervin, anything else, right?
Nothing much to add. I think just next week maybe just some FOMC. If you're holding on to some US market, just be a little bit more careful. Have some plan in place. Market is a bit rocky. A little bit more than what we expect usually in December. But I think volume should start to taper down a little bit over the next few weeks as well. All right. So for those of you who are going on holiday, please safe travel, stay safe, happy holidays. All right. For those of you who are in staying, in Singapore, not going anywhere. All right. Have a good year and have a good rest as well. All right. Okay. So I guess this is us signing off. I'm Bervin, that's Z. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend, everyone.